Can the Carolina Panthers survive the third hardest schedule in the NFL? Can Xavier Legette be traded before the start of the season? 4 Panthers are relegated to sidekicks after this recent draft. And what does Vegas Super Bowl odds say about the Carolina Panthers' chances to win the Super Bowl? You're listening to the C3 Panthers Podcast. Let's rock.
Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
It's Tuesday night, and we're chopping up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. My name's Tony Dunn. That's my wheel man, Cody Lack. How you doing?
Tony Dunn, it's a Tuesday night, so you know I'm doing wonderful, getting ready to talk about my favorite football team with my favorite people, with the best damn Panther fans on YouTube. You know them and love them. We got our boy Harvey London in the building. John B. Jenkins, congratulations to PJ the Walker Wonder on his retirement. Loud Pack Luke, Scott Studs AD, and our man, VR the Hope Dealer. Tony Dunn, it's a Tuesday night, brother. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, bro. Let's roll.
Make sure you smash that thumbs up button, subscribe, and check us out on Spotify and iTunes. Leave a rating and help us out there. Consider being a C3 Superfan for $1.99 a month. CK in the house. Good to see you, my friend.
Man, happy to be here. It's the doldrums, as you said, but man, it's as we talked about after the draft, we have an idea about what these Panthers are going to be, and now we get to kind of play some hypotheticals. We get to start to be the GM until the training camp hits and we start to see what moves are really made. But I'm excited to see what you guys think about this roster and what positions are up for grabs and which ones are maybe a little more shaky.
We're not football experts, but we are expert football fans, and somehow we will find something to talk about on a Tuesday night. Right now it's who's going to be a sidekick, how the Panthers will survive that difficult schedule. And you get some other teams out there that got these easy schedules. I don't put too much into it. You want to be the best, you play the best. And teams flip-flop all the time. I guess they better be talking about projected strength, not just recent strength. So, big shout-out to the Hurricanes, up 2-0 in the series overtime win last night. Big, exciting things. If I had a friend say this, the Canes have been in the playoffs like something like 10 years in a row, 8 years in a row, and they haven't gotten the cup in a while, right? And if not now, when, he said. And they are sweeping teams. They're playing great. Tough match against the Philadelphia Flyers last night at home in Raleigh, but they toughed it out, got a win in overtime. And so fun news there. But let's get into football because it's Tuesday. And the Carolina Panthers, I guess, are projected to have the third hardest schedule, Cody. And tonight, I guess we'll be talking about that. But we'll also be talking about game changers versus role players of that side. Just take us into the show and let's get down and dirty with it.
Let's do it, man. And as these shows are ought to do, they center around the quarterback position. And the quarterback is in the news as Bryce Young is locked in through 2027 as the Carolina Panthers pick up his fifth-year option from Panthers.com. The decision was easy and made months ago. The paperwork was filled on Wednesday. The Panthers did the expected thing and exercised their fifth-year option on quarterback Bryce Young's rookie contract, which will keep him here through the 2027 season. Young's coming off a career season, setting new highs in everything from passing yards, touchdowns, completion percentage to passer rating. He also had 6 of 12 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter of overtime last year. And that 12 remains the most of any quarterback in the NFL since 2003 when he entered the league. And on top of that, we all saw what he did in the very last bit of action. Last year, Tony, he went head-to-head with Matthew Stafford, put up, really similar numbers, just as many touchdowns, almost as many yards, except 3 less turnovers. Boys, as it alluded to, this was very expected of the Panthers to do, but what do we make of this? What are we thinking about Bryce Young going into 2026?
CK, this is not only expected, it was the right move for the Carolina Panthers. Whether or not we're going to get into, I'm sure, the continual debate is Bryce Young the franchise quarterback? Is he a game changer in all of this? You know what? He is the best option the Carolina Panthers have to be relevant and good in the near future, right? Is that they didn't have the money, in a sense, to go and purchase a quarterback in free agency. And God, who would there have been to purchase legitimately in this free agent period that would put you in like on a different course trajectory for a team, right? They are not ready and willing to reset at the quarterback, because whether you wanted to draft, whether they could have drafted somebody, they didn't have a high enough pick, but really not any tremendously great options there, and it would be a reset for the team. Is that Bryce Young has improved, or he proved last year, right? Is that he took some very incremental steps in year 2, it felt like, right at the back end. Tough start to 2025, but really powered through and got this team and became a part of where we weren't talking about Bryce tremendously on the show in the aftermath of these shows. A lot of times it wasn't anything insanely impressive to where it's like, oh man, Bryce is taking over the world, but he made less mistakes. He made more plays last year. And what we're just hoping, or I think, is the Panthers this was the best option, and they're hoping he's going to catch fire, CK.
I mean, it's the most logical thing they could have done. There wasn't a surefire, quarterback that we would have preferred to take. And, the risk you really kind of, throw into the gears here, if you will, is if you don't exercise this, you got him this year, right? He's right. Still going to be the quarterback this upcoming year, but then you have the question mark following this year, right? And what we know now is, depending upon how this year goes, this doesn't mean we're beholden to start Bryce in his 5th year. This just means he's going to be on the team for the 5th year, and we might be paying him a little bit more than what we would like to see if he ends up being a backup in his 5th year. But right now, I think all things are pointing up for Bryce Young, and this gives him the confidence, knowing that he is, he's respected within this organization enough to be given the 5th year option. But also, I've heard that there's discussions about an actual extension, which I believe might be a bit premature at this stage. But at the end of the day, I would say that, we could do something similar to what we did to Cam Newton, which is, it wasn't, we did the extension for him, and then the year after he became the MVP.
Yeah.
And had we waited 1 year to actually get that extension in, that price would have been ungodly high. And
we got Cam for a discount. Signing players early sometimes pays dividends, but they got to pay off. Cody, 2 points here, and you get your 2 cents in. What CK is talking about is that this gives what I gather from what CK is saying is that this gives the Panthers time. It gives them time to continue to see what type of development and improvement Bryce will have, to continue to see what type of improvement the Dave Canales team will have. And if that trajectory continues, you could lead to an extension sometime in this season. Or if you have continued questions about the future, I think even more so of Dave Canales than maybe Bryce Young, because if Dave Canales is heading out the door, so will Bryce Young at the end of the day. Then that gives you the 5th year to figure out how to navigate that plan going forward for that new coach. While I don't think those are happening, listeners, please, I'm not saying those are happening, but the Panthers buying time to continue to see how to take this team forward. But I also think there's no question, Cody, that this is the best option for the Carolina Panthers to be good now and in the near future.
Well, listen, I love the word that you use, trajectory. The Carolina Panthers are on an upward trajectory, and this move made all the sense in the world. Bryce Young has gotten incrementally better year by year by year. And then when you see all those fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives that he's been a part of, there's no reason to not continue to build upon those abilities and what he's been able to do with Dave Canales in this offense. He's going to have a brand new play caller this year in the form of Brad Idzik. So we're going to see what that does to continue to benefit Bryce Young's growth. But Tony, listen, man, you know that we could not have a Bryce Young conversation without me being at least a little bit controversial. DraftKings put out their Super Bowl odds for the Carolina Panthers, and you see us on the right side of that list at plus 8,000 to win the Super Bowl. And listen, if you're the most optimistic person on Bryce Young's future, good, you should be. He went toe-to-toe with the NFL MVP in the playoffs last season, and the Panthers damn near won if it wasn't for a muffed punt on behalf of Trevor Etienne. But I am just going to be real right now. I think when these odds makers and when talent evaluators are looking at the Carolina Panthers right now, part of the reason, even though we won the NFC South, why I feel they're so low on us is because a lot of people at large don't really believe in Bryce Young, the quarterback, just yet. You see all the teams that are ranked below the Panthers: Tennessee, Atlanta, Las Vegas, Cleveland, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Cardinals. All of these teams have much shakier quarterback situations than the Carolina Panthers right now. You see that we're tied with New Orleans, and only the New York Giants with Jackson Dart after his first year are only 1,000 points less than the Carolina Panthers. This is a prove-it year for Bryce Young to continue to show that he was worth that number 1 overall pick. All we traded to move up for him. But I do think this is the Vegas odds makers telling us that they're still not believers in Bryce Young as the quarterback for the Carolina Panthers.
I think I want to put $5 down for the Panthers win the Super Bowl.
You might should.
What would that be, CK? Would that be $35,000? No,
I don't think it'd be that significant.
No, it's 100. It would be $8,000 if you put 100 on it. That's what that for every 100 you would get $8,000. So
right.
You do $10, I guess you get $800 for the Panthers to win the Super Bowl. If at those,
you almost would rather, like, the crazy thing is every single team. If you're a fan of any of these teams at this point in time, put $10 down.
Yeah,
somebody, like it's somebody's, like, even if you're an LA Rams fan, you're gonna get $80. Like, I mean, off of $10.
You should just put $5 down on the Panthers every year.
It's something that I had a buddy of mine 20. Who actually last year had us to go to the Super Bowl. And he was he literally put like $5 on it, but this was right before we even got the wild card spot. He was legitimately, like, starting to get excited about it as we were kind of going on that. When we beat the Rams in the regular season, he was legit interested because it was like $35,000 that he was going to get off of his. Because at this point in the season, you got to keep in mind our odds shifted dramatically downward as the year went on.
Yeah,
not because as you guys can remember, like, we were not considered a good football team for the majority of the year last year.
No.
And
we couldn't win 2 in a row.
And we had a tough start. We had tough opening, tough openings this season. A lot of resiliency there. But the trajectory and the thoughts of the Panthers have changed. There's a clip floating around, and I wish we should have pulled it, but I don't. Rich Eisen flipping out on the Panthers are at 6.5 wins, I think, and he's like, "This is crazy." So, really, I think this is I don't think that that's disrespectful at a sense. I don't think that the Panthers should be on. Like really in a high favorite to win the Super Bowl by any means. And I do think it has to do some with Bryce has yet to show or wow the world with he can do it regardless of what's going on around the team. And if there's a moment where the defense isn't doing well or something, it's not like he hasn't had that proved it just yet to the sense of, say, think of like a player like an Aaron Rodgers had at one point, where it was just like you had Aaron when he was at the top of his game, is you had Aaron Rodgers, and it didn't matter. It's like you were always going to be relevant, competitive, and be a contender. And he just hasn't earned that yet, but he could be on the way. Now, one of the stats though that continues to bring up, Cody, you go back to those stats on Bryce Young, and that is the comeback wins. Right? What is the most comeback drives or whatever, game-winning drives,
yeah,
game-winning
drives
come
into the league.
Six of his 12 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter or overtime last year, and that 12 remains the most quarterback of any in the league since 2023.
So 6 of his 12 drives have come in the fourth quarter overtime. Now, I just think I think that's a fun stat. I think that sounds cool, but it also tells you that Carolina's playing from behind a lot.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. What it tells me is that what I'm more concerned about when I hear this is it's not that we're playing from behind a lot. It's that we're never blowing people out. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like the only time that's happened is that Atlanta game. But outside of that, it's been like all the way to the and that was a lot of what 2015 was too, to be fair. Like there was a lot, but we would usually come out in a substantial way and we would let a team come back in the back half of the game, right? Because we got this feeling that Ron Rivera was just letting off the gas every time we would take a lead. And so that does concern me because I don't think that we can sustain success if we can't win convincingly the games we should win. And the ones that we should be in, like kind of a neck and neck, it shouldn't be a scenario where it's 80% of the time it's within a one-score game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
When I look at the history of great teams in the NFL, it's rare that the majority of their games come down to a one-score game.
Right. And, this is why I said I feel like a lot of this is what Vegas is telling you about Bryce, because I don't think I'm just being a homer here. When you look at what the Panthers did in free agency, how we added to the defense with Jalen Phillips and Devin Lloyd, and then you look at what we did in the draft, like I think out of any team in the NFC South, the Panthers made a ton of improvements. And yet they still have us tied in odds with New Orleans. Yeah. And Tampa Bay is 3,000 odds more of a favorite than we are. So,
which is wild.
Yeah, I know.
Nobody's scared of that either. I think it's kind of this. So. I do think, you're right. Is that what it is that we haven't convinced anybody yet.
Right.
No, we haven't been consistent enough to warrant that. Right. When we were the only saving grace that I think we have, if you're looking at this as Panthers fans, is when we were showing up when we shouldn't. Right.
Yeah.
And why that matters is one of the things we're going to be talking about, I think, a little bit later on is our schedule. And that might be a great segue, is that if we're able to keep it competitive against teams that we shouldn't even be in the mix with, then having our third hardest schedule in the NFL means that maybe we have a lot of those games on the horizon where we're going to be in it when we shouldn't. Now, you hope that we're not going to run into the buzzsaw like we did against the Patriots and the Bills. The Patriots be in one scenario, the Bills be in a situation with not having Bryce out there and having Andy Dalton out there looking like he's a a dude that deserves to be in a wheelchair or something like that. But it was no offense there, Cody, but
Hey.
it was
Oh God, yeah.
You hurt my feelings.
but it's just like it was. You would hope to see what we saw in the back half of the year, which is them showing up when nobody expects them to. And with this schedule, I mean, you would largely assume that many of these games are going to be in favor of the other team.
Final point on this. We'll get into
CK basically just said the Patriots and the Bills were beating up on crippled kids.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Final
Take it to
point
the
on
bank.
this, Cody, is you've talked in the past about being a prove it. It's a prove it for everybody, right?
Yeah.
I think that the prove it time is past at this point in some way, or is that? And what I mean by this is a watershed moment. I think this is a watershed moment for Dave Canales and his staff, and I think it's going to be a watershed moment for Bryce Young. And what we have to say in that, or what I believe in that, is that they've shown moments where they can do it, right? But now it's about learning how to win with that consistency that CK mentioned. But I really think if you go back and we listen to the interview that Chuba Hubbard had and talking about the change that he witnessed with the fan base, with the team, is I really learning, like thinking like a winner is something that has been in a lot of these guys in their past. But man, the Panthers have been in such a losing rut. It's like walking out there feeling defeated before the game even started. Walking out there, Bryce Young just doubting himself. Now is the moment where the Panthers can recapture these individual players, and the coaches can recapture the confidence and the comfortability of winning and success. But if it doesn't happen this year in a notable way, to where I don't like to just say, here's the must win number of wins, but I think it's kind of stepping forward into the 9 and 10 range. I think it's winning the division again. Yeah. I think
we need double digits.
Yeah. But also we need to win the division on our own accord.
Yes.
A division rival doesn't need to win their final 2 games and help us back into the playoffs.
What
we need to win it our damn selves.
And it needs to be convincing. It can't be like we came down to the wire. Like it literally, like it has to be. Here's the thing. I agree with Tony that this is a watershed moment for Bryce Young and for Dave Canales. And the Dave Canales thing, at the end of last year, I would have said there's not much he could do wrong this year and he's still going to keep his job. But the moment he took a step down from play calling, I think that my mind has changed on that. My belief right now, and I know, Cody, this opens up an opportunity for you to react to that on the pod because you didn't get a chance to do that. And we all know kind of what your feelings on that. But the idea that our offensive-minded head coach is no longer calling plays, and if our team as a whole takes a step backwards, not just offensively, but also defensively, the point of him moving into the role he is to better the entire team, to be able to focus on all aspects of the football world, not just be solely kind of pigeonholed into one aspect of what a team makes a good football team. And if we don't see noticeable improvement on both sides, and we see Bryce Young take a step back, both of these are very possible. Like I think Bryce Young is going to be on the team next year, no matter what. But he will, if this year does not prove to be a franchise year for him, he is not guaranteed to be starting next year.
Both entities need to create belief, like where we believe in them rather than just optimism.
Agreed. Yeah.
The thing that sucks, CK, is that I don't mind that Brad Idzik is the one calling plays. Sure. The reason why that sucks is because you will never see Sean McVay giving up play calling. You're not going to see Kyle Shanahan giving up play calling. I felt that the reason why you went out and hired an offensive-minded head coach was so that way you could forever pair your play caller with your game-changing quarterback, which is what the Bills this season did in hiring former Panthers coach Joe Brady to be their play caller.
Mistake.
Bills fans don't love.
It's a mistake.
But you know what? I always said that firing Brady was a scapegoat move by Matt Rule, who just needed to save face with David Tepper. But the point being is that if Joe Brady is successful, the guy who is calling your offense isn't going anywhere. And, let's say that the Panthers are super successful this year. Who's to say that someone doesn't come along and poach Brad Idzik when he gives us the offensive mastermind recipe for success? I don't love that. It makes me think that Canales isn't the play caller that we hoped him to be, and the proof is sort of in the pudding in that sense.
I think that's true, and the reason I say we got to keep in mind he had 1 year of play calling experience before we hired him.
Yeah, nothing.
Right? It wasn't as though this dude came out of a cannon like Sean McVay. Year one was throwing haymakers as a head coach, play caller. Right? The Joe Brady situation is going to be one that's concerning to me because Joe Brady has never in his entire time called plays from the field. He has always been in the booth looking at the field like he's in Madden. He's not going to be doing that anymore. So you're talking about a disadvantage. One of the biggest complaints, I know this isn't a Joe Brady thing, one of the complaints I always had about Joe Brady is he was too predictable. It was when there was clearly a run play, it was always a run play. When it was clearly a passing play, it was always a passing play. There was never anything outside of that. And Bills fans have a similar issue with him. Like every Bills fan I have has the same complaint about Joe Brady. And so that's the part of this that I'm actually looking forward to, is because I don't think that I think Brad Idzik has something to play for, whereas Dave Canales doesn't. And so Brad Idzik is probably going to be a little more willing to be risky with his play calling. And I think, last year, while I think comparatively when we had bad performance by Bryce, it did fall on Bryce Young. Don't let anything I'm about to say make you feel like it's just an apologist's, perspective. But I feel like a lot of the things that caused our offense to fail last year was play calling. We said that multiple times throughout the year. And so I do think that having Brad Idzik in here would be significantly helpful if it turns out to be positive.
I think I'm going to be the middle ground in this. I think between the two, not you two, but like the positions of it's a great move or it's a terrible move, right? Is Cody, where I ultimately disagree with you at this point, is that you're using the most awesome examples of coaches, right? Like, I mean, we're not talking about just kind of like successful or good coach. We're talking about coaches that are it feels like 1 in a million. It's like, might as well say Andy Reid while you're putting it up there, right? I don't think that necessarily like Canales I ever thought we hired a guy to that caliber. I just thought we were hiring a guy that was an improvement from what we had. The other thing is that I don't believe that if the offensive coordinator was poached after success, that it would disrupt this team as much as if they had a defensive coach. And so I think that Canales and his friendship with Idzik, and they're kind of, they've been holding hands since they got here, and they've been holding hands in their career, is I kind of see it as like he has at least a kind of offensive philosophy and understanding to where he could bring in another coordinator that would be conducive to him, that he could either mentor or work with very, positively, or that he could even go back to doing that if he needed to and weather that storm and that change. I think it would be more dramatic if you had a defensive head coach, then the offensive coordinator moves, and then you're installing a complete offensive philosophy. So I don't think I don't think at any point that Dave Canales, my first point is that Dave Canales shouldn't even be thought of being hired or in that consideration of a Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay. I think that would be amazing if he was that, but we don't even have any idea if he's going to be the coach in 2 years.
Well, but even if you don't say McVay or Shanahan, what about Matt LaFleur of the Green Bay Packers? He's still calling plays with Jordan Love. Ben Johnson just got hired to the Chicago Bears. He's still calling plays.
I mean, 1 year in there, but we'll see.
But my point, I mean, it's the Bears, and they went to the playoffs last year. But my point being is that I don't think for whatever hoping that at any point he would have to give up play calling on the off chances that the coordinator would be more inventive and more consistent with the kind of plays that he was calling. I mean, we think back to last year against the 49ers, and we did nothing but pass the ball when running the ball was successful. Like, it doesn't seem like it takes an offensive genius to know when to continue to do what you're doing successful. And I'm just disappointed, though. Like what David Bivett says right here is like, even if you never thought he was a McVay or a Shanahan, you felt that he can grow as a signal caller. And to me, it doesn't seem like Canales is growing. It just seems like now he is delegating those responsibilities to someone else, which I think is disappointing. But if it's successful, I do commend him for making the decision that is best for the overall chances for Panthers victory.
Yeah, I think this was important for survival, to be honest. I don't know if if it will work necessarily. Like, if it doesn't go well, then it will usher in his demise. But I think really is that if you remember that one play, do you remember where we lost a down or something? We should have gotten the ball back against. I mean, like, we should have had the way the flags were, the penalties were called. We were supposed to get either. I cannot remember the game. CK, do you remember, like, we should have been able to either redo the play or take a penalty or something? And
he just didn't argue for it.
Right. He didn't say, like, hey, this is what should be going on, and he even admitted this later on in the season, that he's sitting there he's thinking about what down and distance it is, what the next play is. And I think it's just so hard for a guy, CK brought it up, is he really didn't have a lot of experience, he had 1 year of being a play caller. And I think that the difference, and I don't know, McVay, Savant, the LaFleurs, I think, are a football family. The Shanahans, now that's another one. Like, I don't think that's fair, necessarily fair comparison, because his dad was a Hall of Fame coach who was known for being an offensive genius, who having like the greatest run games in the history of football with the Denver Broncos. Andy Reid has done this so many times. He's thinking 4 or 5 moves ahead just naturally.
Right.
He's been in this situation over, and I think it was just too much for Dave Canales. And I like the idea of him saying, look, is like, let me just try to be the head coach.
And the other part too, keep in mind, one of the biggest complaints I've had on this team has been our defense, right? And so here's my thought on this would be, if we haven't got our defense figured out, but our offense still isn't excelling with you at the helm, like, they're better, let's be real about it. I mean, it's not like it was a step backwards. The team was moving in the right direction offensively even. But if you're not seeing progress from other parts of your team, or if your entire team as a whole can get better, then I think stepping back and being a coach to the entire team could be helpful for that piece of things to move in the right direction. But I also think it doesn't mean that because he's offensive minded, that if we lost Brad Edzik, that we would be having to start from square one offensively. It could mean he can step right back into that role. Somebody else is going to come in there and he's going to be able to, he's got his philosophies that are still important to him, to making sure this team is still in the, has the identity he sees it as being successful. And let's be honest about it. I mean, if Brad Idzik isn't here next year, it's not because he's getting fired. Most likely it's because he's getting hired.
Well, yeah, if he's getting fired, that means Canales is arguably on the way out.
That's the argument that I would say is like,
if he does get fired, it means he's probably taking the play calling back over at some point in the season.
Oh, totally. Trying to, it could be if he scapegoats his own friend. Wow, that would be tough. I think really what we come down, and we'll go on to the schedule now, is I guess the sad part about this, Cody, and what disappoints you in the play calling, like him giving this up, and he's not that guy, just like with that utmost confidence. Where is that, like, man, we kind of wish we had, do people wish they had Liam Cohen instead?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like you kind of like
hindsight.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have had that opportunity. Look, the Panthers had to take who was there and who would come to them, and you know, it's like, I mean, you're working with what you got, and I think this is.
And we could not afford to fire another head coach after year one. Like
No.
like we had to be able to pick somebody. Liam Cohen wasn't a head coaching candidate the year we were hiring Dave Canales, and that's when you got to keep in mind he filled in. He was hired as an offensive coordinator for Tampa after we hired Dave Canales. Okay, it was never an option. Hindsight, always we wanted Ben Johnson. Right. A lot of us wanted Ben Johnson. Yeah. Ben Johnson pulled his name out of the hat because he did not want to come to a team like Carolina Panthers or anybody else who was interested in him that year. Right? We can all assume that's what it was.
Yeah, no, he wanted to pick his destination more clearly. And Cody, CK, do you remember who I wanted to be the head coach that year?
It was it
would have been so great.
Harbaugh.
Well, I did want Harbaugh, and I had one other, and it would have been so great for the podcast numbers right now.
For right now,
yeah, we would have had a ton to talk about. Mike Vrabel.
Now?
Oh, Mike Vrabel.
Yeah. All in the receipt. He did, like, we wouldn't have just been douchebags.
Hey, look. Dave Canales used to do that kind of stuff. Those days are behind him. You know what I mean? He's gone down a different path.
Is it kind of funny that
maybe in a couple of years, Mike Vrabel will put out a book talking about all of the bad decisions he made and cheating on his wife, like Dave Canales.
Isn't it funny though that, or I don't know if this is a good thing, that I feel like Vrabel has avoided direct hits over that part.
Oh yeah,
right, because over the cheating on his wife, because the Rossini and the sports reporter, I feel like she's taken the majority of the bullets.
Yeah,
and Vrabel's just kind of like, like he's over there. Like he's come out. I think cleaner than most cheaters.
She took the bullets early, but I think he's starting to take the bullets now.
Oh, is he?
Also she has journalistic integrity that she has to keep in mind. Whereas Mike Vrabel, like, what is it? You know.
Well, the issue with the Mike Vrabel thing is,
as a reporter,
well, right now it brings into question his integrity within the organization. Because now he is starting to be discussed as being the leaks that's getting information out that shouldn't be out and all of this stuff. Because like we were talking about, she was able to say things that were going on within the Patriots organization well before anybody else was. Me personally, journalistic integrity, I think is important. But it's in this industry, it's not. I think far more important is corporate secrets.
Yes. It's like,
you know what I mean?
This is corporate espionage. He's a weak link.
If anyone is used to a controversy, it's Robert Kraft. And I think this is probably low on his list considering other controversies they've had.
I agree.
New England has a history of cheating.
All right. It's a perfect fit.
2026 NFL strength of schedule. All right. So what do we know? What do we know, Cody? Is that they're doing strength of schedule because we know the teams we're playing. We don't know if they are what weeks, but we do know that you're going to have your division games home and away, right? So you get those 8 games. You get 4 at home, 4 away, right? And then you get 4 division out of division games. Which, what is the cycle this year? Is it the AFC? Does it look like the AFC, or because remember they Oh yes, the AFC. Is that the North? Baltimore.
We're playing the NFC North, and it looks like we are playing.
We got we got a Vikings, Green Bay, and Philly.
The AFC North.
AFC, and then those are NFC East and North, looks like.
Yeah.
Right?
No, but NFC North, we have the Lions, the Packers, we have the Bears.
Told us home and away. That's cool too, right here.
Yeah.
All right. So here, let's focus on those games real quick. Is home games out of division. Lions, Bears, Baltimore, Bengals, Seattle and the Broncos, all playoff teams, right? Except
All of
for the
them.
Bengals.
Which one of these is the?
The
don't we have one in
Lions were not a
international game?
playoff team. Do we have an international
right.
game? I'm not sure. But when you factor all of those together, the Panthers have the third hardest schedule in all the NFL, only third to the Dolphins, who are in second, and the Cardinals, who are in.
How do the Dolphins
first.
have the hardest schedule?
No, the Cardinals do.
Oh, the Cardinals. How do those teams? Those two teams stunk.
I
well,
know.
you got to keep in mind, it's not. There's only typically there's only
It's the
two games
divisions
that
they
are coin flips, right? And so there's only 2 games out of the 17 game, or maybe 3 games out of the 17 game schedule that are coin flips based on what your schedule was. The rest we're like everybody in our division is playing the same division. Everybody, and so it rotates, and we have the specific, and then we always, we got to keep in mind 6 of our 17 games are going to be against our division, 4 games from an NFC division, and then 4 games from an AFC division.
Yeah.
Dude, how about
Arizona has a tough division?
Second easiest, man. Fuck them, right? The second easiest schedule.
See what there is. I want to see. All right, keep going. You talk through that. I'm going to pull up the Saints.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is, look, we talk about prove it years, and, Tony says this is a watershed moment, and then shout out to, where did I see it? Loud Pack Luke says he sees 11 wins in this schedule. And, bro, let me tell you, if we're able to rip off 11 wins against some of these teams, that's a damn impressive feat on behalf of the Carolina Panthers. And I do think that this is an incredible opportunity for us to do just that, continue to prove the doubters wrong. And, you have to win the division. Everyone else reloaded. Everyone else is getting healthy. I think outside of Tampa Bay, the quarterback position in the NFC South, when you look at Atlanta and New Orleans, is very up in the air. There's hope around Tyler Shuck, but still is only 1 year. Then you have Tua Tagovailoa going to Atlanta and the Falcons, and I've never been really high on him. But between Bryce and the Falcons, we're going to see who the real short king in the NFL is. We're hoping that it's Bryce. But this is an incredible opportunity for the Panthers to continue to prove themselves as top dogs and big front runners in the NFC, period.
CK's on to something here. All right, so go back to the quick slide before. You said the Saints had the second easiest schedule in the
Only
league.
the Lions have an easier schedule than the Saints.
Now go to our opponents real quick. Okay, take a snapshot in your brains, folks, of who we're playing. We're playing the NFC South, right? Our division. We're playing the AFC North. So we got the Bears at home. We got the Ravens at home. We got the Bengals at home, right? And now I want to show you what the difference between one of the hardest schedules and one of the easiest schedules. And this is where, CK, I think you're onto something. I don't think that we should put too much stock into this entirely. Now, I think, all right, what are the differences between the Saints schedule and ours? They get the Raiders. That's one reason that they get that's considered an easy schedule. And they get the Giants and they get the Cardinals. So instead of the Eagles, the Seahawks, and who else did we have? Eagles, Seahawks, and there was one other game that would have been Eagles, Seahawks, Green Bay. All right. Those are the 3 different teams. They get the Giants away, they get the Cardinals at home, and they get the Raiders. So it's 3 games difference. But I don't think it's just as easy as say they got 3 easy games. We also got 3 hard games, if you think of that. The Eagles, the Seahawks, and what was the third one I said? Which was a tough – Green Bay. No, they got Green Bay. The Saints
they have Green Bay too.
So
yeah,
is it
because
just
we
two
played
teams
the
that
NFC North and we played the AFC North.
Yeah, so it's they get the Cardinals, the Raiders, and the Giants, and instead we got the Seahawks. Who was the other team? Eagles, and then there's got to be one more in there somewhere. Go back to it. Eagles.
Is it the Steelers? No, that's the AFC North.
The Packers.
They got the
Steelers.
Steelers. They got the Packers.
Browns? No, that's North.
They got the Browns. So it's going to be the Eagles.
They have the Broncos.
The Broncos. That's who it is. And the Broncos again. They got 3 easy games. We got 3 hard games.
Yeah. That's it. It boils down to those 3. Now, I think that has to do with us being division winners, right? Because those are all the winners of the division of those divisions, and so we're facing other winners of their division. For those 3 games, whereas the Saints, none of those 3 are winners of the division.
I tell you, I don't want to play the Seahawks. Ugh. But
now the schedule release is coming out, so we can get more details of like when we're playing, like what order and all that stuff.
Did you know when that's coming out next week?
It says it's expected to be released between May 12th and May 14th.
Oh wow!
I love to hear how they do the NFL schedule with like the 10 million computations of like this and like how do you do 10 million? I guess you have to think about where teams are, what's going on, like time zones, TV schedule. So it is pretty complicated. Carolina Panthers, tough schedule ahead of them. Somebody said they saw 11 wins right here. I feel good in our division. I feel like, we're punching with, we're fighters right now. We're fighting with Tampa. Like we can go and punch with Tampa. Yeah. I feel more threatened by the Saints than I do by the Bucks and the Falcons, but we're punching with these guys. We don't deserve or walk into these saying we are going to win. I think that the teams on this list that are, I guess, intimidating to a certain degree. I think the Bears right now are a team that is on the come up. It feels like maybe they'll have a slump.
I feel like the Bengals reloaded in a big way.
Maybe. I don't trust their defense ever.
They got Dexter Lawrence, man.
I know, and they still got Hendrickson, right?
No, he went to the Ravens.
Oh, he went to the Ravens. That's right. No, so I mean, like, look, their defense doesn't scare anybody. There's a 50% Joe Burrow chance that he's even playing. I'm not scared of the Steelers. I'm not scared of the Browns. I think
the Browns either.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking I think the Eagles are intimidating as a team to play. I think the Broncos are a tough team to play, but their quarterback is coming off a significant ankle injury. We'll see what's his name again? Not Drew Law. Who is it?
For what team?
The Broncos.
Bo Nix. Was that a broken ankle he got?
Yeah, remember?
Yeah, and then also not only did he have a broken ankle, but he had to have another surgery again in the last few weeks.
Yeah, they said that was a cleanup, though. I don't think that was like a.
Still, that's another surgery that he had to do. I do want to say one thing though, a trend that I found interesting. The last 2 seasons in a row, the Panthers played both of the teams that would end up in the Super Bowl. 2 years ago, we played the Chiefs and the Eagles. They were Super Bowl teams, and then last year we played the Patriots and the Seahawks, and they both went to the Super Bowl. So there's that.
We got a C3 super chat from @Duke Thunders, $5 for his generous contribution. I love how every offseason we see 9 to 10 wins, and yet. Great point right there. And thank you for not only your contribution, but everybody for hanging out, your time, attention, energy. Be sure to smash the thumbs up button, subscribe, tell a friend, be a friend, tell a friend, as Pat McAfee says, share the stream. I saw Panther Nasty had done it on X. So hit that retweet or that repost, that like, that subscribe, consider being a contributor to the show. Look, dude, you're right. It's like it's been crazy for us to be checking off that number, right? Do you remember last year what we did at the beginning of the season and Greg came in here Debbie Downer Greg, wet blanket Greg, and he was like, I see 11 wins. I was like, what in the hell are we talking about right here? I do think that somehow that in the past, 7 years, that's been silly talk from us. I think right now, putting the floor at 8, like the floor at 9 for us to feel better in any significant way about Dave Canales, Bryce Young, and the future trajectory of this team. I think the team has to improve. I don't know how we could walk out of this season and with 7 or 6 wins and say, sign Bryce, keep Dave Canales. Now, I don't know that their futures would be over in Carolina. I'm not saying that. I just think it would be very difficult for us to walk forward with confidence. So I think 9 has to be kind of the floor. I think 10 generates excitement and optimism in those entities and potentially the future. And last year, finally, we punched with some teams, guys. What did we get? 8 wins last year? There were 2 or 3 games that got away from us. So the team is so close from being an 11-win team.
Panthers Drew says if we don't piss away 2 games to the Saints, that's 10 wins.
Yeah.
And remember, we were big time
Cardinals
game.
That effing Cardinals game.
Yeah, man. Like there is, we have underachieved. That's why when you consider the schedule, when you consider what we've seen from the Panthers, this is not our official season predictions yet. I retain the right to change my opinion, but for right now, I'm staying between 6 and 8 wins, somewhere in that range until we get a little bit of more momentum and reason to believe otherwise.
I like
last
9.
Last year, I only predicted 4 wins.
Yeah,
and I think that maybe I should continue to go low so that they can shatter my expectations instead of underperform relative to my expectations. But I don't know, man. It's definitely going to be a fun season. I'm already really pumped for it. You guys want to? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I do want to go on to the next. I do want to ask CK something, though, about as we've done this podcast for so long and we think about the reasons. There have been we're starting to feel some sort of hope and optimism, right? Like we're not walking in defeated into the season or into a Sunday. So we're kind of maybe getting closer to a point we were in the past or where we just felt like, hey, man, we're underappreciated. We're undervalued team. Like we had some sort of hope and optimism. The source of that optimism, though, has come in different places in the past, whether it was Cam, whether it was the defense, whether it was Luke Kuechly. I think the primary source of optimism for this team is not Dave Canales. It's not Bryce Young. And I'm not saying those are sources of pessimism. I think it's Dan Morgan, Brant Tillis, and the management of this team. I think that's where the source of optimism generates. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's reasonable to put that at the forefront of the conversation, given the fact that I've said it before and I'm going to continue to say it. Dan Morgan has done what no GM in Panthers history has been able to do up to this point, and that is draft completely and positively from start to finish. Like nobody's got a 100% hit rate on this stuff. But I'm telling you right now, just year 1, year 2, and so far with this 3rd draft that he's done, like he's hitting,
might be his best yet.
He's hitting some people, and even with undrafted free agents, and like he's picking up people that I think, like the Lee Hunter. A lot of people had him going in the 1st round. A lot of people had our tackle going. I can't remember his name, so forgive me. I'm still getting used to it. Had us picking him being Freeland had him being picked early in the draft in the top 10 potentially after his pro day after the combine performance he put up. Like then you talk about any of those people we got there in the back. I mean, it just feels like
every player was valued higher than where we picked him. So we got good value on every single player. Cody put up the graphic last week about the value, and I think that value actually didn't come in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd rounds. I think that remember that slide you put up last week,
Yeah.
Cody, about like how we were
The
getting
Panthers got the most value in terms of picking players who technically were not supposed to still be on the board.
I think it was our 4th and 2 5th-round picks that made that value. You know, you get the center, you get the safety, you get the we got a center, safety, and a DB, I believe. But we got some super chats. Read them off, and let's get to the next topic.
Yeah, man. Shout out to our bro C-Dog, the brand ambassador, says C3 Podcast, longest running Panthers podcast on YouTube. Shout out to the bro, man. Appreciate you, C-Dog. Hey, man, let's move on here because we have some relevant news that I think everybody will be hopeful for, but we also have a lot of questions about. According to Joe Person, Panthers running back Jonathan Brooks said he's fully cleared by his surgeon to participate in Panthers offseason program and feels close to 100%. The second-round pick from 2024 is returning from a second ACL surgery on his right knee. And I felt like this was sort of a good conversation to have, especially dealing with the theme that we're sort of talking about tonight is, you know, who are going to be just the Joe Schmoes versus who's really going to be the game changers this year for the Carolina Panthers. We're all really excited about Jonathan Brooks and what he can do on this offense, but we also go out and sign A.J. Dillon, Mr. Thunder Thighs himself, to be on this Panthers team. And my question to both you, CK, and you, Tony, and to all of the beautiful people in our chat, who do we think is poised to have a bigger year at running back for the Carolina Panthers? Jonathan Brooks or A.J. Dillon, who is now on his 3rd NFL team?
A.J. Dillon's not been a bad player. He was he was with Green Bay. He was really a very solid, kind of like an Algier.
He just had the Aaron Jones. Yeah.
Is that Algier is funny is that he signed with the Cardinals thinking he was going to be their bell cow, and then they went and drafted
Jeremiah Love.
I think this is CK. I'll put it to you is that I think that this is a 3 running back room. I mean, I think it's arguably set, and maybe I'm missing. Are we missing anybody? But I think the Panthers are just going into this season going
Chuba Hubbard.
Chuba, Jonathan Brooks. Well, maybe. And I don't know if Dillon doesn't make this team. I don't know that entirely, but I think that Jonathan Brooks and Etienne and Chuba Hubbard are the 3. And I think they might find a way to argue that they could keep Dillon on this team and effectively say that Etienne is a special teamer. If they had to. I mean, I just think that this is
I just still have nightmares about Etienne fumbling that punt, dude.
They hit him in the face. Dude, he's a rookie. I'm sorry.
You're in the
putting
playoffs.
A rookie out there in the hardest.
The ball.
Okay. You know what is I think is and maybe circling back to the Dan Morgan discussion about why I feel so great about this team or better than I have in the past. Is that all the draft picks we had this year or even last year, I didn't say they were that they were the reason that the team was going to be better or not. Like we had to depend on them only. If Freeling isn't a starting right away, we're toast, right? We're not in that pigeonhole right now. We got Moton, we got Walker, and there's not this pressure. I don't think in the past, we've drafted a 4th-round pick and being like, you're starting right away. I think it's crazy. I'm not giving up. I don't have any qualms with Etienne. Is that I think he was pretty effective at times. Catching punts. Was it a punt that was he fielded off his face or was it kickoff?
It was a punt. It was a punt.
It is arguably the hardest thing to do in the NFL. Is this the most dangerous, hardest thing I think to do? And that's why I used to love that they would, or I didn't love, is that we would put Demir Burr back there. The littlest guy on the team be like, good luck, Mug. I mean, it sucked in the time and the moment, but I think Etienne is a good player. I don't know if they're counting on him. I think it's Chuba, Bell Cow, Jonathan Brooks, potential home run hitter, Dylan, the veteran that you can count on in goal line situations or if somebody gets hurt. And I think Etienne has a play because of his potential at running back, but also his ability to play special teams.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I don't know. Dude, this would be interesting because I really don't know how this is going to shape out. I do not think we're going to carry 4 running backs into the season.
Did we last year? We had Chuba, we had Etienne,
we had Rico Dowdle, we had Chuba, we had Etienne, and I believe that's it, unless I'm blanking, which is entirely possible. But that also shows you how much they did, if I'm not even remembering.
Help us, but did we
name.
have another running back? And I want to pose this question to you, both of you. Just give me a yes or no. Is the running back room significantly worse from last season to this season?
Go ahead.
No. I would argue that it's not worse at all.
I don't think Rico Dowdle represents that much of a jump in talent from what we have now. I think a lot of Chuba's lack of explosive plays came from the injury, the calf injury that he had early in the season. So I don't think that's entirely indicative of what he can do as a running back. I think Trevor Etienne is still showing what he can do as a player. And look, let's be real. Jonathan Brooks is the guy that we're really hoping can be the guy that we drafted him to be. Remember, he was a 2nd-round pick, and he was the first running back that came off of the board in that draft, correct? I don't think there was a first-round running back in the 2004 draft. So he was the first running back. He had a bunch of fans. You know, he was running back number 2 and the heir apparent behind Bijan Robinson at Texas.
He had better numbers than Bijan at Texas.
This is a guy who has a ton of potential, and if our offensive line can really do some good blocking for him this year, I think he might have a breakout year. I'm hoping at least, man.
The only difference is that the floor for Jonathan Brooks surrounds injury. But the upside for Jonathan Brooks is far higher than Chuba Hubbard or for Rico Dowdle as players, just straight up. But that injury does count. It counts so much. So it's like, but I think it's interesting. I'm the big. You're not going to find a bigger fan of Jonathan Brooks than me. Like I know a player when I see it, kind of thing, and I believe in him. Now, if this injury comes down to, if it continues to be, it'll be one of those sad stories. I mean, there's been a lot of sad stories in the NFL about great talents that have just ultimately been interrupted by injury. And the Carolina Panthers have had players that have been part of that story, and Cam Newton is one of those. Cam Newton is, to me, one of the top players in NFL history where injury disrupted incredibly, like what could have been kind of like, I mean, I'm not saying like, I mean, Bo Jackson, think of like a Bo Jackson type, is that Bo Jackson is arguably the greatest football player of all time in a sense, but injury settled. Dan Morgan, another one. Yeah. Dan Morgan, one of the greats who
Luke Kuechly.
Yeah.
Listen, that's a great conversation that, believe it or not, we will actually have the end of the show tonight. But let's continue upon this presentation that we have set up. This is from Joe Person of The Athletic. Put out a free article for Panther fans to check out. Go and check it out. Will Monroe Freeling's time in Georgia's pressure cooker expedite his NFL learning curve? He would go on to say, guys that played for Georgia, there's certain places, other colleges, that they're going to have a thumb on them. Panthers offensive line coach Joe Gilbert said in a phone interview, they're going to be pressured at practice, in games, the whole 9 yards. That kind of just brings the kid a little bit further along and a little bit quicker. Had the Panthers drafted Freeling in the top 10 as they did Nkwonu, it would pretty much be a given that he'd be a week 1 starter. The second half of the first round might be more of a gray area, but Freeling's intention is clear. I can't go in without the mentality to not start. He said the night of the draft, I'm going in there. I'm going to want to give it my all, but I want to go in there and I want to start. The Panthers did not bring Freeland to Charlotte for a pre-draft visit. Corey Fuller, the team's Southeast area scout, said those are often scheduled for the prospects the team still has questions about. Freeling's meetings with the Panthers at the Combine and over Zoom more than sufficed. We just didn't have a lot of questions. He kind of checked all the boxes, asked if there was a game or play that stood out, and convinced the team of Freeling's potential. Fuller instead pointed to a Bulldogs preseason practice last summer that several NFL scouts attended. Georgia coach Kirby Smart spent a good part of the practice focused on Freeling. And boys, this brings me to my next verses, where we're going to get everyone's opinion. Who is going to be the day 1 starter at left tackle for the Carolina Panthers? Is it the 19th overall pick, Monroe Freeling, or was it the best tackle available to be had in free agency in the form of Rasheed Walker? Gentlemen, what did you think?
I think, I don't know. I've heard somebody talk about this the other day, and they said it's a bad draft pick if he doesn't win the starting job, meaning Freeland.
I
And
disagree.
so, but I also understand Tony's perspective, and that is like, we don't need to rush him, as he was coming into this with a need for polish, right? It wasn't as though he was coming in here like, he's not the most pro-ready tackle to come out of the NFL over the past 3 years.
Or 10 years.
Right.
I mean, this is a different NFL where players, I mean, I guess he's young, right? Like he hasn't had a lot of just ton of experience. And he's also not part of this new NFL that has played in the NIL where he's 24, 20, and he's played 5 years in college either. So he is young. You're talent. He's good. He's showed it on the field, and he's got all the statistics. CK, finish your point, because I think I'm with you on this.
So I don't know that I'm upset if he's not starting. I think Walker has won this position multiple times after having people be drafted to replace him.
Yeah.
And he's still kept his job. So I don't think that he needs to be the long-term answer, but I think letting Freeland get his bearings is never a bad idea.
I agree 100. I think it would be a mistake for the Panthers to start Freeland on day 1. I don't think they got to do that to him. I think that we rush too many players. I mean, Bryce could have been one of these players that we think about. I still think about a world where you kept Sam Darnold and drafted Bryce Young, and their opportunity will come sooner than you think. That's the thing, is that somebody's going to get hurt on that offensive line at some point, right? And if Walker's bad play, or if you know what I'm saying, is you let him make sure you get him important reps in practice. Now, that's the thing, is just because he's not the starter does not mean that he's not getting valuable reps in training camp and practice. Like, you allow it to be a competition, but I think you go into kind of the idea is that he's our long-term answer. We believe in him. Him starting on day 1 or week 6 will not change the fact that the Panthers believe he's the long-term answer at left tackle. So get your money out of Walker. Let that come naturally rather than forced, because what if you put him out there, he struggles? Then you've got this guy you brought in who has been equivalent roughly from PFF grades to Akim Aquanu, And nobody's just jumping up and down about Kim Aquino being one of the greatest left tackles of all time, but he had become serviceable, good, average to good, right? Average to better at a point in his career. Walker's that right now. Let him play. And if his poor play merits replacement, then you put in the young guy. If injury merits replacement, then you do it. And he comes in with so much less pressure and an opportunity to thrive and succeed. My idea is you don't deny him necessarily the opportunity to start, but you don't think that that's the right trajectory, like the right course of action. That's what I would be thinking if I was the coach right here. We're doing it for you, Monroe, not because we don't believe in you.
So listen, I do like that it affords us the ability to not push him into a scenario that is not quite ready for it to be the starting left tackle for the Carolina Panthers. But I'm going to be real, boys. They did not know that Monroe Freeland would be available for them at number 19 overall. So them going out to get Rasheed Walker was a prudent and necessary move. However, I feel like if they knew for a shadow of a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, that they were going to get Monroe Freeland, I don't know if they would have signed Walker.
No way.
I believe our boy, your bastard son, white chocolate espresso. I don't care if he's a top 10 or a top 20 pick. If you're drafting a first round pick, left tackle, I expect them to start. And I do think that he will start. I'm hoping at least that we get a legitimate competition between the two of them where they actually play the better man. Now, I don't necessarily have a ton of faith in that because last year I genuinely believe that Cade Mays was the better center over Austin Corbett, even to start the year, and yet they still started Austin Corbett.
1 week, though. I think it was just 1 week.
I think it was more than
Or
one.
two.
But either way,
He got hurt right away.
The fact of the matter is I don't think it matters if it's a top 10 or a top 20 pick. If you draft a 6'7", 35-inch arm left tackle at number 19 overall, you're playing him this year.
I categorically disagree with this position, and I feel like it is so psychologically handcuffed to the idea of a first-round pick, right? And I think that picking at 19 is far different than being a team that's picking in the top 5. If you're picking in the top 5 and you pick a first-round pick, is arguably he should be better than whoever the hell was on that terrible team already. But the Panthers are not terrible. Rasheed Walker has had success in this league. I don't think that just because he's a first-round pick that you have to do that. I think it could be detrimental to him. I think it was detrimental to Bryce. I think this is a media-driven, instant gratification type concept here. The Panthers are in on Monroe Freeland for the long haul. They are, right? They picked him first. They picked him in the first round. They've got a 5th-year option. Whether he starts in week 3, week 15, does not change that trajectory of what their belief in him is. But what would change that trajectory is that he goes out there and struggles. And then think about what it would do to the psyche and the rationale of this team. You come out there with great expectations. You come off of a playoff opportunity for the Carolina Panthers. They're fighting and punching with the Rams. We're walking into this season thinking, man, Bryce is going to grow, this and that. And then you get rookie learning curve at left tackle that gets Bryce flustered, destroyed, or problematic. And then you start going, what are the questions that then develop? The Panthers start off slow. Questions about Bryce Young. But more importantly is like, oh, do we believe in Monroe Freeland? I think you do this. I think you put Walker out there. You let him play. If he plays poorly, then you put him in. If he gets hurt, great time to put this kid in. No need to rush it. I'm sticking with that opinion. I believe in Monroe Freeland, whether he starts week 1 or he starts week 15 or he starts year 2.
I hear it. I just have a feeling. I have a feeling, man, that we're going to. How about this? I have a feeling.
Yeah, you have a feeling. I
have a feeling.
One of the things is, and maybe it was when you were, and maybe I'm a little biased, like a little on this perspective here, because I think it was during the sabbatical, Cody's sabbatical, that I went nuts about the Rasheed Walker addition as being the capstone of a great free agency for Dan Morgan. I think you could argue that Jalen Phillips, all right, he's betting on the future, not the past. Big money. I mean, I think it was like, it's cool. I think it's cooler to Panther fans, the Jalen Phillips signing, than it is to the outside world. I think the Devin Lloyd addition is, we are so captured by the idea that he was a top 5 free agent, at his position. But Bob, I guess my connection went jacked up. Bob Rose came on this podcast, Cody, and said he's not that impressed by Devin Lloyd. He thinks that he's
allowed to be wrong.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. But we were so enamored by the idea that we've got these top ranked position, like Devin Lloyd. He's a top free agent option at his position. Jalen Phillips, top free agent option. We even defended the overpay, right? CK, this is not about the past. The money is about the future. You got to put the money in. I still think that Rasheed Walker is the thing that rounded out free agency, that made this team be relevant this year, gave us the positioning in this draft. And that's where my bias, I think, is coming in on this, Cody, is that where I think that Rasheed Walker should be the guy, because I think that was such an important move for Dan Morgan. Long-winded, circuitous way of talking about why I just think that comment that can you say it again, CK, about the guy who said if they're not starting at 19,
if he's not starting, if your first round draft pick isn't able to beat out Rasheed Walker for the starting role come week 1, it was a bad draft pick.
I think that's a short-term internet take, and go to the Eagles, where they're loaded on fucking defense all the time, and then they go get Javon Walker or something. You know what I mean? It doesn't say anything about the player you got. I don't like that take. Let me just say that. I'll end there.
I mean, I think I understand the take at the end of the day, because one of the things that I love about what he was saying with the remainder of the video that obviously we aren't talking about, was the pick was actually pretty good, because you didn't have a pick that you would have guessed the Panthers. Like if you could have, as the Panthers had, any person in the draft, I think we wouldn't have been shocked with any position they went with. The only real true position of need you could have argued that they have, like for an immediate hole, would be a potentially
center,
tight end.
Well, after Ikem Ekwonu got hurt, there was no way that the Panthers could go into the season with just what they had on the roster.
Right.
So, I like that they did go out and get Rasheed Walker. And I do think that they didn't know if they would be in a position to take a left tackle at 19. So
they would have had to, right, Cody? Right. If you did not get Rasheed Walker, it would have put all the pressure on that. Everybody would have known. Right. It would have put they would have been a target in the draft.
I will say this. Neither of those two men, either Rasheed Walker or Monroe Freeland, have as much pressure on them as our next player that we are talking
Okay,
about.
let's see what we got.
One, Xavier Legette.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, man, this has been a real topic of conversation. He is one of the lowest rated fantasy football wide receivers in most fantasy dynasty leagues right now. And, this is from Cat Crave. The Carolina Panthers didn't need to take a wideout in the first round of the NFL draft again this year, but they did address the position a little later on. In the third round of the selection process, the Panthers took Tennessee star Chris Brazel the second with the 83rd overall pick. The move shakes up Carolina's ever-churning receiver room yet again, and nobody should have more cause for concern than Xavier Legette. So it only makes sense that after the struggle in 2024 first rounder, according to Joe Person of The Athletic, that he comes out as one of the team's biggest losers. Joe Person writes, with the rival of Brazel, Legette lands in the losers category for a second year in a row. It was easy to see the Panthers' selection of Teteroa McMillan with the 8th pick last year as an indictment of Legette, who struggled with drops and field awareness and general inconsistency. If he can clean up some of the things that have slowed his development, he will be in the rotation. If he won't, he becomes a potential trade candidate.
Nah, trade candidate, get that out of here. If you don't want him on your team, who the hell wants him?
I know that's the problem. Is
that's silly.
You
Are
literally
you forgetting
drafted
that
him.
we traded away Jonathan Mingo for a bag of chips to the Cowboys? One man.
That was slightly different.
That is a reasonable point, but it also more was about Jerry Jones potentially having Alzheimer's than it was about Jonathan Mingo.
They had a good draft this year, man.
I don't know. I can't believe, CK, that if you don't believe in him to make this squad, given the players that we have on this team, that he can garner anything of serious note in a trade market.
Oh, you're going to be lucky to get a 6th rounder for Xavier Legette at this point. Like,
I agree.
That's
if you're shopping him, you say you don't believe in him.
Yeah, the fact that we got what we did for Mingo was unbelievable. People say that Cody's talking about a bag of chips. That was 100% a fleece. And on top of that, that was the difference between those two is with Mingo, he was a 2nd rounder and we got a 3rd. Xavier Legette should have been a 2nd rounder. Let's be real about it. If we didn't trade up for him, he would have probably, if we didn't pick him, rounder. I think he would have dropped to probably middle to end of
50s,
2nd round.
50s probably.
And so, we got him as a 1st rounder. And I think that's probably where this all really goes downhill for Xavier Legette. It's similar to the Bryce Young issue. And that is when you're drafted so high, your expectations are sky high. And we drafted Xavier Legette as a project. Like, let's be real about it. He was not.
Dan Morgan said it.
Yeah, he was not coming in here NFL ready. We knew we weren't getting a guy who was going to blow it out of the water that first year. We were hoping that maybe there was going to be some magic, but we knew that there was a long shot for that being a possibility. What we've seen from him is that he hasn't been able to get on the same page with Bryce. Let's be real about it. With what we have on this team, I think that Xavier Legette is a real candidate for trade. It's not going to be 3rd. I can tell you that much. I think didn't we change
6, bro?
Wasn't Mingo traded mid-season too, though?
Ooh, that's a good question. Was it mid-season?
The
fact, do you remember we had Mingo, Bingo
before the start of the season?
We had Mingo, Bingo, and we had to continue it through a whole entire next season before he caught his first touchdown. That was a crazy thing. I think that Adam Brazel right here was great for the Panthers.
If Brazel does ball out, though, and they feel confident that he can step in and basically take the spot of Xavier Legette, maybe they feel like that wide receiver room is a little bit too crowded.
I don't think that's where we're at right now. I don't think that the Panthers feel that their room's too crowded. I think right now what this is that CK Dan Morgan said it. You just mentioned it. Is that XL was considered to be not instant rice, but
it was
a
going
project,
to be
right? As development time.
Needed. Yeah,
we have put some pressure on him because of the number one, but that's deserved, right? Is that if we're going to give that comment to Monroe Freeland, if you can't start, then that still applies in some ways to XL, even if you think
might apply more because you traded to come up for him, which means he was more than just the 32nd pick in the draft. He was the 32nd pick and whatever picks we decided to give up.
And arguably his second year was worse than his first year. Right. I mean, you could say that, right? I mean, is that I think this is that the Panthers believe that now we get to see it's a stress test for XL. This is a stress test for XL. Does he rise up and improve?
Mm-hmm.
Or does he stay where he's at? And so
Remember,
I don't
we
think
also had John Mechie as well, too, which
and different types of players, right? To me, right? Is I think Mechie and Horn. I think Mechie is competition for Jimmy Horn Jr. in a sense, right? I think that Brazel is competition for XL. And not that like one-on-one competition, but schematically. Is like, look, you're gonna put Tet out there. You're going to put another receiver out there on the other side, and then you want somebody who's a burner, right? And so maybe, just maybe, we have a world where you get T-Mac XL. XL's thriving through competition and challenge and adversity. Maybe he rises, and you got Brazel in the damn slot. Now let's talk about a big, tall lineup. So I don't think this means XL trade block right away. I think this is the Carolina Panthers are doing the one thing that they did in the past so much that fucked them, which is this is who we got. So they were just trot out in the past. They would just trot out Jalen Coker, XL, and T-Mac and be like, we can't improve. And now I think they're pushing for improvement. Whether XL's part of that or not, I don't know.
It's a make it or break it year, and we will definitely see. Hopefully, him and Bryce can get a better connection with each other this year than they have in years past. It has not been impressive.
It has not. He's actually, and it's been. I think the problem with XL is that drafted off of physical characteristics. Like he's like every time he made one great play where he caught that touchdown this year. But he stepped out of bounds. He hasn't not known where he was at times. Like it was, I would say, is that it was unpolished, like CK said. Now, the question I continue to think, and which I think gives you your question about him being traded or even worse, being cut in a sense or relegated, is who's that guy? Obviously Jalen Coker, but that other one, Stevenson, or what was his name?
You mean David
Play
Moore?
for the Commanders? No. We had two.
Oh, you're talking
players.
about Curtis Samuel?
No, two players we signed. What do they call it?
This year?
Yeah, it was Jalen Coker and Stevenson, maybe.
Not Ramad. No. That's Patriots.
But he was. What is it? What do they call it? It's not unrestricted free agent. It's delegation.
You mean the guy that you were like, "Whoa, he's a white dude," and you thought,
yes, and that guy's freaking good.
Oh, I don't think he means anything to this roster, though.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, man. But dude, we do have a very deep wide receiver room when you go through it. Teteroa McMillan, Xavier Legette, Jalen Coker, Jimmy Horn, and then Chris Brazel.
David Moore.
Deep. Yeah, we're deep at the position, man.
Okay.
We are.
And David Moore
Tremaine,
always seems to find his way.
I thought it was Richardson.
Yeah, Bryson Tremaine.
Bryson Tremaine. That's it. Yeah. He has arguably had more success than them XL last season.
I wouldn't say arguably. I think it's pretty clear that he did. Well, that would be unfair to
How about
Xavier
this?
Legette.
The
There's been
fact
enough.
that you could even make a comparison is such an indictment on a first round pick from 2024. It's like Andrew traded up into the first round to secure this guy. Like, he has not proven himself to be a viable wide receiver too. And that's literally what essentially he was drafted to be. He was drafted to be a number one, but then T-Mac comes in, takes that position.
Oh, they already knew. They already knew.
Right now, as of this moment, Jalen Coker is the
better
number
than
2 wide receiver on the Carolina Panthers, and it's not even close. Tony, how about this, man? You want to hear from some of these beautiful Panthers fans?
I do.
How about let's do that, man? The number is 252-228-5098. Be a part of the show. Jump in there and let your voice be heard as we take your cat calls. Let's do it.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in the snow? Who's that kid that can use one?
Come on. Why? Every time I press play, the first time it doesn't do it. Come on. It says it's connected.
Legette.
Here we go.
Happy K, Tony Dunn, Cody Lack, the C3 Legette. Happy Tuesday, y'all. This the Hope Dilla.
Hope Dilla, what's up?
Hope is not a strategy. Hope is not a strategy. So I recently saw an interview from Dan Morgan, and it was a fantastic interview. I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but it was with the guy Chris Cox and I think it's the ESPN show. But they were asking Dan Morgan's questions about the culture at Carolina, and he said some things that was really intriguing to me. He said that not only were they looking for players with the talent level, those dogs he talked about, but he also talked about looking for players that was a good fit for their culture. He had mentioned that in the previous regime, and I was surprised he said this, he said that there was a desire to win, there was a hope to win, but the plan behind it really didn't exist. And so as they rebuild the thing, they're looking not only for players that are talented football players, but also the types of players that love football and that are cultural fits.
Yeah.
Give me y'all thoughts on that. Do you think that it's more important to focus on the talent first, then the culture, or the culture first, then the talent? What order do y'all think those things should go in? But anyway, this is the Hope Dilla. I love you guys. Everybody out there, keep pounding.
Keep pounding, bro. Tony, I have famously said on this podcast, you know, I don't necessarily want to draft Boy Scouts anymore. You know, if they end up being great guys, that's incredible. But to me, you need talent in order to compete. You need to go out and get guys that you know are going to whip ass and dominate on the gridiron every Sunday in and out. And by the way, this isn't me saying that I'm okay with guys who beat women or go on 110 mile an hour, you know, free rides in their Lambos. I'm not saying that. But ultimately, I think you have to get great players that are going to go out there and dominate the football field. But I do think that one of the things the Panthers have been so good at is threading the needle of finding both. Finding guys that are ultra talented that do fit that keep pounding ethos that we have here in Carolina. And I think ultimately that's a credit to Dan Morgan, all the scouts, Dave Canales, and Brant Tillis for making that happen. But I'm a bread and butter type of guy. Give me the talent. Give me the dudes that are going out there looking to whoop ass every Sunday.
I think so much has changed though from the world, and I'm like one generation ahead of you two in a sense, right? Like you're in your 30s, I'm in my 40s. I'm a 90s kid. Y'all are like 2000s kids, right? That's what I call myself a 90s kid. Like, I mean, I was.
It depends on what you mean. Me and CK
I was
were
born
both
in 81, right? So I always think of like what defines you as kind of like your teenage, like your high, like,
sure.
Kind of like that like 12 to 19, that whatever is going on from 12 years old to 19 years old kind of really is your generation. So I think I am one ahead of you. And what has so significantly changed from my generation, and maybe you guys saw some of it, but I don't even know if you fully saw it, is how professional and specialized every single thing in this world has become. So like I played baseball and hockey when I was younger, and it was like the rich kid. I remember like I was on this team, and it was a great team. Everybody's cool. It was like we had these two great sluggers, but the dad, I mean, he was a builder, like a contractor, and he bought a pitching machine for his kid. That was unheard of, right? At that time, it was like we went to the batting cage, like rich kids went to the batting cage. It was you showed up a little bit more with your glove and your bat. It was starting to see the signs of everybody had their bat bag and the Easton Ultralight. But then the generation after me, now it's like they're getting professional trainers for these kids in the fourth, like in high school. I mean, if you think of what Bryce, they've been manicured, cultivated. What's the right word that I'm looking for here? It's a little different. So I don't think it's just like talent only, because it was like raw talent in my era. I feel like the 2000s, the 90s football is like these mugs were partying and doing this and going out there and just living off their talent. I think what culture is now is a marriage between talent and this relentless professionalism that kids have been inundated with. So you get talent, and then you get them who are like, I just admire it. I admire that these people are so mature and committed at this point, and they're not just living off of raw talent. So I guess it's a long-winded answer to say is, talent, but now talent isn't just being raw. It's just not raw. Like that doesn't win now. It's manicured, and it's been manicured for a long time. So you get that raw talent with this somehow, and now it's even cooler, or maybe not, because I hate NIL because it makes ECU football less important, I think. But these guys are like, this is like they're making big financial decisions at 17 years old.
Well, also, Tony, you talk about coming of age. All of these young guys came of age being on the internet from the time that they were 6-7 years old. You know what I mean? Like these guys have grown up in just a completely different generation, and I think their access to information has, even though I do think it does have a negative, harmful effect on younger generations, I also think that it has a benefit in that you get so
in this moment.
Because you get so much of a look into, what goes into drafting an NFL player, what colleges are looking for, the type of players that these NFL teams are looking to draft. And I think that with all of that information and those research tools available to them, it does help them to become, more ready for the job that they're looking to obtain. So
you're right. And look, highlight Dan Floyd's last comment here. It's like with the diets and training tech now, the dude's just getting harder, better, faster, and stronger, and they're identifying it younger. So like that's the thing is, you can go to these facilities here in Greenville, North Carolina, which 30, 40 years ago was very small. We're still kind of small, 100,000 people in the town, probably college town, but you can go and train professionally with, high school kids are training with former college and pro players at that age of 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and that was not how it was back in the day of just like, oh, this kid can run fast. So when you talk about culture, Cody, I think it comes to this, is that you marry talent with commitment. And to be honest, I can't believe the level of commitment that these people have. Like, I mean, it is admirable with the requirements that we put someone. Imagine if someone put you to that standard at your job every day. It's a remarkable commitment. Let's go to the next call. It's Anthony from Charlotte.
Yo, what's going on, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte.
What's up, man?
Your boys are having a good Tuesday, man. Just wanted to call in before the show, give you my game changers and role players. Or actually just, really talk about game changers here for a sec for this team for the upcoming 2022 season. I think, obviously, I think there's core guys from last year that established themselves as game changers. I think let's start on the offense. I think Damian Lewis is a game changer. I think when he's missed 2 total games since he's been here. So he's played 32 out of 34 games, but pretty sure the games he didn't play in, our offensive line struggled. He's definitely a game changer for us on offense. T-Mac, game changer. We all know, what would we have been with as a passing offense with him, without him last year, the way he's able to open up other guys on the team with all the attention he gets, definitely one of those guys. And a hot take, I think the breakout game changer on offense this year is going to be Jonathan Brooks. Let me clarify. I think Bryce Young, when he plays really well, he plays like a game changer. I think in the Rams game, I was playing like a game changer for majority of that game, going head-to-head with Stafford. But in terms of breakout, consistent game changer, I think Brooks has all the talent in the world. I think we need this. If he hits, it would just be so big for us because, you get 2 years of him for really cheap, decide what to do after. But, man, we've been missing that explosion in the run game since Chase Stew and D'Angelo Williams, man. Obviously CMC for his, 3 amazing seasons he had here. But, yeah, that's it for offense, in my opinion. I think Jalen Coker can take another step, Chris Brazell, but I don't know if they're in that game-changer tier yet. Defense, we already know about Derek Brown, J.C. Horn, Mike Jackson. But I think this one's pretty obvious. I think Jalen Phillips and Devin Lloyd are going to be game changers, both coming off their rookie contracts. I just think they're going to be game changers for us, man. I think they got a lot to prove, especially Jalen Phillips has a lot to prove. He's been healthy the last 2 seasons in a row. Love to see that. I think he's hungry to get his double-digit sack numbers up. And Devin Lloyd, man, hopefully he's going to continue what he's done and trajected into the top 3 off-ball linebacker. Those are my thoughts. Anthony from Charlotte, keep motherfucking pounding.
Keep motherfucking pounding, Anthony.
Call it a night so far because I love Jonathan Brooks. I think the upside there is it continues to come back to, can he thrive after these injuries? But when he's out there, he looks like a different category of player. You saw him, Cody, like when he was on the field, he looked like, the way I see Cam Newton is like, man, they just stand out. They just stand out, like his body, his structure, his mobility. It just was like, dang, this is night and day. Look, I'm not saying Chuba Hubbard can't play, but this mug got something special for him. He
was really looking good before he got hurt.
He had 2 games, right?
Yeah.
But this is not the end. Look, I know a lot of people want to talk about Thomas Davis, right, and make that comparison. Continued 3 ACLs. You go and look at who's the guy that he's a Georgia running back, went to Cleveland, now he's in Houston.
Nick Chubb
came back from 2 devastating injuries. But here's the real one to think about is going back to a guy who had multiple knee injuries and had where these same questions came about. Willis McGahee played at the University of Miami, tore his knee in the Fiesta Bowl in his senior year, tore his knee again in the NFL, and he ended up having like one of these kind of comeback kind of moments. Now, did he go on to be the greatest running back of all time? But he ended up being successful comeback. It was like McGahee and Thomas Davis were always in the same conversation. So I'm really high on Jonathan Brooks. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Right. But I'm not counting him out right now, and I'm rooting for him, and I'm rooting against these players, not against the players, but these situations where great players, unfortunately, are debilitated by injuries. And I don't want this to be one of those storylines. Let's go to our next call, Cody.
Let's do it.
What's up, y'all? It's Lucas from Far City.
What up, Luke?
Y'all want to know who's going to be a game changer this coming year? It's going to be our quarterback, Bryce Young. Bryce is on a prove-it deal this year, and he's going to prove to Panther Nation that he's going to be the guy to bring a Lombardi to the Carolinas. Keep pounding. Go Panthers.
Keep pounding. Hey, we need a huge year from Bryce. A huge one, man. I'm people think I hate Bryce. Dude, I want him to be good more than anyone. I hope Twitter gives me.
You are a negative Nelly about him.
No, I'm just not a believer yet. And I think that he needs
that's fair
to prove that belief. And I'm not going to change that opinion for anyone. When I feel comfortable with Bryce Young being the Panthers quarterback, I'll be the first one to let you know. Right now, outside of every time he plays Atlanta, I don't feel that way about him. So let's see. I want him to shut everyone up.
Atlanta and
all
the Rams.
Doubters, all the haters.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, even still, though, they're
the Rams twice, right?
People understand exactly what I'm saying.
I get it. But you do come hard in the paint on the Twitter. You do come hard in the paint about it, where it feels sometimes to people that it's sniping, right? But I do think I'm 100% with you. Is that we want to love someone and believe. That's why I think this is a watershed moment, CK. This season is going forward. Yeah. I want to rally for somebody. I want to have their back. Like I want to go into an argument with confidence or a debate. I remember I used to talk about sharpening my Twitter sword for Cam Newton. Like I believed in this mug, so crazy. And I want that belief. So if that is what Cody is saying, he doesn't have that yet. That's one thing. That's okay. Right.
Yeah. I think that's okay. To Cody's defense, and I'll come back with maybe some criticism in Cody's behavior when it comes to Bryce, but Cody's also been willing to compliment Bryce when he's done well. Right.
Yeah,
I mean, in last off
reluctant
season,
sometimes.
Yeah, reluctant, but
I always give flowers as soon as they are due.
Well, the problem is those flowers are for for 180 yards.
Right. They're few and far between.
Well, the part of this that I think where Tony, I think you might have a point, right? Cody, you do go a little hard in the paint when it comes to Bryce. There can be 5 really good plays, but the first bad play is the time you tweet. Right.
Look, man, with great power comes a great responsibility. None of the other players on this team were giving up 3 picks and another first-round draft pick to move up to first for him.
Oh, I thought you were talking about his interceptions at one point.
We're also going on year 4, and let's be real, we're still questioning who Bryce Young is. So if I snipe, dude, I don't think any of it has been unfair or unwarranted. Not even one thing that I've ever said.
A broke clock is right twice a day, and I'm the broke clock here.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It's if you're a Bryce Young apologist, you certainly feel as though it's like you're waiting for the good game so you can say, "See, there's promise."
It's verification. What is verification bias? But do you guys remember when I said on this podcast that I couldn't believe there'd be a more controversial quarterback than Cam
Newton?
And then it was
then the next one, the literal next quarterback that was drafted was more controversial. Yeah, dude.
But it's not even Bryce Young's fault that he's as controversial as he is. It's just simply because we gave up what we gave up for him. Had it been a natural progression where he was the number 1 overall pick and he wasn't as good, it's you don't hear people continuing to just trash talk. Name any number 1 overall pick.
I saw a redraft code. CK. I saw a redraft CK that they did that draft that Bryce was taken.
Yeah.
And Stroud was taken number 1, and a Panther fan jumped in there immediately and said, "This is ridiculous. Like, no way you're picking." And they weren't stumping for Bryce Young, but they were like, you wouldn't pick, like, even CJ Stroud has come under criticism.
You would have picked Will Anderson,
right,
number 1 overall.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that Bryce has an opportunity. I'm not a disbeliever. I always said he was a short Alex Smith. And I think I do think that he has an opportunity to catch confidence and fire, right? Like, like a little rhythm that will help him and the team. And I think he can be far better than he's played so far.
I want to say first and foremost, I want to reiterate, I am pulling for Bryce Young. I do not want Bryce Young to suck. I want him to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that he is the franchise quarterback. But I do want to show something that I think kind of goes to what I'm talking about. ESPN Fantasy Football, they put out some projections for who they think will have the most passing yards in the NFL this year. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4 quarterbacks on this list who were either drafted the same year or more recently than Bryce Young on this list. And Bryce Young is still nowhere on this list. So for what we gave up to go and get him, compared to what he has been, it has been overall, except for when he plays the Falcons, it has been a disappointment. If I have to be the loudest one to say that, I will do it until I'm blue in the face. However, I also understand that with that and my perceived sniping comes those moments that when he does ball out, half of Panthers Twitter is tagging me, pointing at me, saying, "Oh, remember what you said." I'm hoping for that outcome. I'm just saying right now, general talent evaluators agree more with me than the most diehard of Bryce Young fans.
The internet is about verification bias. And that is, and look, every single thing, especially you want to go to politics, is the best place to see this, is that we're just looking for things that verify what we already believed. And that's the problem. I think that people, and Cody, you are part of, I got to say it, man, is that there is the belief that you thought that Bryce isn't that person.
Correct.
And that then the opportunity that people are like, oh, well, like you are just low-hanging fruiting it in a sense. And I think, but I've always been your defender and your supporter on this, is that I also think it's kind of crazy too, when you're like, look, he had 180 yards, no picks, and a touchdown, and we're like, he's the second coming. Yeah, I mean, that's not enough either. Yeah. I think we want to believe. I think that this is what I said, watershed moment for him, for Dave Canales. I think it's even more for Dave Canales than him, because he's just a player that's going to get retreaded at some point if it doesn't work.
Sure.
Yeah. I think this is an opportunity for him to step forward. That's what it is. This is now a moment to where he becomes where we're searching for reasons to believe, and then you become a believer,
but
or not.
Also think about this. you know, Mel Kiper thought that Blaine Gabbert that he thought would be a better pick than Cam Newton.
Oh my God.
So remember, Cam Newton in college in the SEC was a one-year wonder. Now, it may have been the greatest 1 year that any college quarterback has ever had. But I do think it's fair to say that coming into the NFL, there was more doubts about Cam Newton
which is
than
wild.
there was about Bryce Young.
Which is wild.
It kind of is, considering Cam is 6'5", 250 pounds, and Bryce Young is 5'10", 195.
Not only was Cam Newton a mutant, he was coming off of arguably one of the greatest college quarterback seasons of all time.
Arguably
now,
the greatest season
still
of
up there.
College football player
Even
ever.
in all that time,
position.
it's still up there.
Yeah. And so that part I do agree with. I think the difference between what Cam Newton was and what Bryce Young was is Bryce Young had consistent success from high school through college, where Cam Newton did not. Cam Newton had middle of the pack success. He had to go to a junior college.
Yeah, it was like he got caught up in a mind.
But he was never really.
Florida.
He wasn't
bullshit. If you think about what today people.
Sure. But you've got to keep in mind that's what I mean by that. It's like there was 1 year of him being a good quarterback in the college, but there's 3 years of good tape that Bryce Young put up, or is it? Yeah.
I think it's fake. I'm with this. Is that, and this is gonna get me in trouble, I guess.
Do it. Who cares?
I think that's fake. That
What?
Oh, you're just on the best team all the time in your whole life.
Yeah.
And you're with these great, but like, I don't think that just made me all of a sudden think that Bryce was this incredible player. I think the argument with Bryce is this, and this is what we're hoping for. We go back to that stat of the 12 game leading drives, is that he mentally is impervious.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're just what I'm continue to hope for with him, is that there's just something completely different about him, that he is the game changer in moments of pressure. But that's way different than what I thought Cam Newton was. The Cam Newton thing is completely different argument, because it was just this. It's like you just give the ball to Cam Newton on every play and something's fucking good going to happen.
Right. But you know, but you know the thing about that, Tony, let's take the MVP season out of it. From 2011 to 2014, there were so many more impressive watershed moments for Cam Newton than there were Bryce Young, and it's not even close.
I agree.
So
listen,
I'll end it with this. Do I go hard on Bryce sometimes? Absolutely, I do, and I'm going to continue.
And you dug in. So. You had to dig in.
Cam Newton was far more of a payoff earlier than what we have seen with Bryce Young being the #1 overall pick that we traded up for. So, hey, man, I will continue to say this year is a huge year for Bryce Young in this organization with the Carolina Panthers.
There's no, and this is, and CK, you brought, what a great point, is just the central idea that Cam was riskier. Yep. In retrospect is so bananas. And I think that importantly, that shows you how much Cam changed the narrative on black quarterbacks too, and running quarterbacks and things like that. There's no way that he was more of a risk than Bryce Young. There's no way.
No, especially not with what you gave. Like, we earned Cam Newton. We didn't earn Bryce Young. Like, we had to go up and get Bryce Young.
That is a very relevant situation. Yeah. And again, that's why my criticisms are so high, because DJ Moore went to Chicago for Bryce Young. And I know people gripe when I bring this up, but it is the truth. The pick that we received from the San Francisco 49ers for Christian McCaffrey went to the Chicago Bears for Bryce Young. So the Panthers moved up for Bryce Young and in the process lost DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey, two of our very best offensive weapons. I'm allowed to go hard.
I also, the irony of bringing that up is I thought that Christian McCaffrey, and this is egg on my face, and I will own this. I thought he was a bigger risk than Justin Fournette.
Leonard Fournette.
Leonard Fournette. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Leonard Fournette.
I think we all wanted a Leonard Fournette, but honestly, the fact that we got a Christian McCaffrey,
and he turned out to be, he's still in the league. Leonard Fournette's not in the league.
Well, Leonard Fournette was also already what we had with Jonathan Stewart. He was the power back who was going to run people over. Like
it was what we were used to.
Yeah, and I think that when you look when you look at when we had D'Angelo and Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo was more of a Christian McCaffrey type,
right?
Like, a little more shifty, had a little more speed, was able to catch the ball. And in Christian McCaffrey, and having him with Jonathan Stewart was a good way to start his career. But yeah, I mean, it's all of this stuff is always
like
hindsight.
Less risk, I think. Leonard Fournette is like you're going to get he had a higher floor,
yeah,
and it turned out so. This is our moment to still on this podcast.
Well, hold on, but I do want to say one more thing. I know I'm dragging it out, but shout out to Rock Jones. He mentions $50 million a year. So remember, in the next 2 years, we're going to have to make a decision on Bryce Young. And we're not just talking about, has Bryce proven to be the number one overall pick? Is he going to be worthy of that? I mean, let's be real. This is what they do. The next paid quarterback in the NFL is the highest paid.
Yeah.
So we're talking about making Bryce Young a record-setting, high-paid quarterback on top of all of it.
I'm not ready to do that right now.
I don't
like
think
if it was just money, guys.
How could
if
you?
it was just money? I mean, I would understand about the future. You have to, I do think this is Bryce. I said it earlier. He is the best way forward right now for the Carolina Panthers. And if he's not, then that means a real backtrack on what we think the trajectory of this team is.
What would you draft him? Or let's say this is a good question. And like you said, Cody, I'm sorry, we're not trying to drag this on.
We're good.
But
it's a good comment.
There's been the discussion about the Bryce Young extension, right? And the upside to doing it now would be it's going to be significantly more affordable than it would be if he came out and he had a good year, even if it's not a great year, but a better year than he had this year. But here's my question. Does him agreeing to a smaller extension now, if we were to do that, that's not making him a top 10, he is not going to warrant top 10 quarterback money. Like, as much as it's just, there is no avenue you can look at his performance and say that. So you could get him at a discount now. But do you want a guy who is saying that to our organization that I would rather take the risk of having a great year next year and go ahead and get my money now? Because I don't, like, in my mind, that's like a loss of confidence if he were to sign an extension now that was less than what,
or just reality.
Yeah, I mean, I
think that is I think of Akim Ekwonu on this. I don't think Akim Ekwonu was the greatest tackle. I don't think he was the worst tackle. I think he was a first round pick and your best option at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Bryce Young is.
Do you think that it's a different conversation, but do you think we would have paid Icky top left tackle money if he wasn't hurt?
Yes.
I don't think it would have been top. I think he would have been in that 4 or 5 range.
Again, I just think that these guys, when they get the opportunity to get paid, they're not willing to take less than the next highest paid.
Yeah.
I think if you said that you were going to pay Bryce Young right now, if you said with the utmost confidence that you're going to pay him for a 5-year deal right now, and we're just committing the future and the money, I don't think anybody can say that they would be ready to do that with just extreme confidence.
No,
Like that, it's like buying a house,
there are
CJ,
some.
right? Like it's buying a house that is a great property, but has risks of the market and this and that. I don't think like you can say that with that sense of confidence only that it's worth it. I think it might be prudent to pay him and sign him at some points, but I don't think you just say this is no matter like we feel great about it regardless. I think that's where the 5th-year option is great. We bought time and we can see if that is the trajectory of the team.
Yeah. I mean, that's just it's the part of this that we have to be. It really depends upon what this organization, if they really believe in Bryce Young, like do the extension now. Like I don't want them to, but like that's what I feel like would make sense, because if he comes out and he balls out next year, or even if he is a top 10 let's say even top 15 quarterback in the league next year, he is going to be significantly more expensive than he is now, not just because he performed well, because the market's going to go up next year.
So you're trying to get him at a discount. Let me phrase it this way, and then we'll move on, because John B. Jenkins is in the hole. If you paid Bryce now, are you paying him for the player he is and you believe he's going to be, or are you paying him so you don't have to go into the draft or go into free agency? And what I mean by that is there is a luxury of having a structure, having a vision, because if you don't, are you paying him because you believe completely, or are you paying him because it's the lesser of those other two evils?
It's easier to pay him than it is to replace him.
Right. I think that is where we're at right now.
But here's the danger in that. How much dead money are the Dolphins paying for Tua Tagovailoa right now? Because they paid him a major contract, and he's not on the team anymore.
A significant amount of money.
Yeah.
The difference in those two is that I think Tua had when he got that money, it was off the heels of like one of his best seasons, right? Yeah. Like he was considered a top 10 quarterback in the league that year because
Tyreek
of where
Hill,
he was.
Jalen Waddle,
yeah. And he was killing it. And so they gave him such a guaranteed laden contract. I don't think we'd be beholden to a crazy guaranteed type of a contract for Bryce Young to where we would have an out after a year or two without there being a significant hit to dead money. Again, I'm not advocating for this right now. I think it'd be premature at this stage to do it. But I also think that it would be naive for this organization, if they had the true belief in Bryce, to not be thinking about these things, because that's one of the biggest hindrance to building a championship level NFL team, and that is cap space. When you have to put so much money towards one position, it really limits your ability to take care of those other players around you.
I think it's fair to say that the Panthers don't disbelieve in Bryce Young, nor do we believe that he is the answer forever,
right,
going forward. And I think that's fair to any Panthers fan. Let's go to John B. Jenkins, and I'm pretty sure he's got to talk about some PJ Walker in here.
Got to.
Hey guys, John B. Jenkins calling in with your weekly Alternative Football League update. And
John B.
I have an update for you this week. It's a bit of a sad one for me, as you all probably already know, but my guy, the GOAT of the COVID-shortened XFL 2020 season, none other than Philip Joseph Walker, a.k.a. PJ Walker, a.k.a. the Walker Wonder, has decided to retire. So sadly, there will no longer be another avenue to witness the Walker Wonder after his last stint as the backup pivot to Vernon Adams and the Calgary Stampeders in the Canadian Football League. Yes, that's right, gentlemen and ladies. They call them pivots up north, not quarterbacks. But let me tell you a little bit of history on PJ Walker. This man fed families. He was Matt Rule's quarterback at Temple for 4 years, where he would establish a connection with future Panther teammate Robbie "What's That Bear Doing" Anderson. In his 4 years at Temple, he was 830 for 1,456 attempts for a total of 10,658 yards, touchdown to interception ratio of 74-32. Like I said, this man fed families. He helped Robbie Anderson become the first wide receiver from Temple ever to make it to the NFL in 2016. A year later, he would get Matt Rule signed as the coach at Baylor, and he himself would leave to be the first ever quarterback signed to the NFL from Temple to the Indianapolis Colts. And that would be in 2017. Anyway, in the XFL where I happened upon him, I mean, he was amazing. They compared him to the next Patrick Mahomes. And instead of the Mahomes magic, I coined the term Walker Wonder. And this was my guy. And in the XFL, in the 5 games that he was there, he threw for 1,338 yards, 65% completion rating, a QBR of 104.4, 15 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. This guy was on fire. And then he got signed to our team. He became our quarterback. We could witness the Walker Wonder. And in the 3 years that he was here, he threw for 1,461 yards, 57.5% completion, and a QBR of 63.9, 5 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. So we're just going to completely forget that I told you those stats. PJ Walker's the guy.
Oh, was that the end of the call?
It sounds like he probably hit the timer. While we're waiting for Tony to come, probably play a part 2 if I had to guess.
Yeah, man.
One of the things I hated about PJ was he would throw some of the greatest passes you'll ever see.
He had a live arm, man.
And then he would just follow it up with the craziest interceptions.
Yeah.
Like, just so, and there towards the end, I mean, I think we were all kind of hoping he would be able to step in and be a guy for us there at his back half of his career with the Panthers. And it just felt like it kept on getting worse when we put him in those situations. So I also, it's all right to me. We got ghosted a few times by our boy Tim Jenkins, who was the guy who would do quarterback school and all that stuff.
Yeah, I remember Tim.
He blew up. Where's he at now? Probably.
Yeah, and he's. I'm not sure he's got that YouTube channel going or anything like that. But he, we would reach out to him from time to time, trying to get him to talk about Bryce, and he just left us on red. But it was, his connection with PJ Walker was that he was actually a part of training him. He came from Tim Jenkins' school, and so we got him to come on the show that one time, and it was really cool to kind of get a behind the scenes of his interactions with PJ. But man, I liked PJ as a whole. I just hated the fact that he couldn't put everything together, because I thought, gosh, I mean, I sit there, I go back to that Atlanta game where we lost because DJ took his helmet off, and we ended up being the penalty.
One of the greatest throws, and
I know
it was the longest throw of that year. And I want to do, maybe I'm wrong, fact check me if I'm wrong. I want to say for a little while it was one of the longest throws in NFL history. Like, it was a fucking
game changer,
dude. It was an incredible throw, and the dude was like 5 feet 10 inches tall. Like, he was not a big
he
guy.
had fucking
Dude,
he had a miss
he was
like kind of like Mike Vick a little, like just a cannon that was fucking incredible. The problem with PJ was this.
Correct me if I'm wrong though, before you go, Tony, wasn't he chosen by Steve Wilkes over Baker Mayfield? Or
yes.
am I getting that? So I am thinking of that correct. PJ Walker came in, and it was because of him that we didn't let Baker Mayfield back on the field.
Here is the problem with PJ. It's not PJ. is that he was the last of these nobody quarterbacks that we hoped for. Remember who was it? Remember it's almost like all right, so there was the first black heavyweight champion was a guy by the name of Jack Johnson, fucking monster in the 1910 1906. It wasn't when he won the champ, but they would not let black fighters fight for the championship then, and he somehow was able to secure a championship fight, get the belt. And then they called it this like this is a historical component to this, but it was like this string of what they called the Great White Hopes. And like that, like trying to, this is an era of people thinking there was racial supremacy and inferiority. And it was like, can these guys take this back? And PJ Walker was not, I'm not saying the Great White Hope, and that's not the comparison I'm making. It's like we were hoping that the Panthers could find. Do you remember it was Kyle Allen? What was it? The Taylor Heineke. He was the last of these people that weren't supposed to play. If PJ Walker would have been the first, if he would have been where Taylor Heineke was in that order, we would have been like, oh man, he might be able to get his moment. But we just had gotten tired of these fucking nobodies by this point. And so PJ Walker did have a live ass arm, and that throw was incredible. And I'm just saying this is that we had been fatigued by the post Cam era of Kyle Allen's, Taylor Heineke's, Teddy Bridgewater's, PJ Walker, Sam, like we were ready for something that had some branding and some name to it.
Yeah.
All right. Final call.
Walker one day.
And by the way, Heineke went on and won a playoff game with the Commanders. Again, fuck Ron. I don't know if I like Ron Rivera or not. I don't know. I like Ron Rivera and what he did with this team, but I still think I'm kind of like, you did my boy Cameron Artis Payne like that. Then you went to the Commanders and you didn't go get Cam. You took Taylor Heineke. Or Tyler. I think it was Tyler. Whatever the fuck his name was.
Taylor Heineke.
And you could have had Cam, and then Tyler Heineke wins a fucking playoff.
I have my gripes with Ron Rivera.
I don't think I like him now.
2015 team and what they were able to do, that was just some of my favorite Panthers moments ever. And
yeah,
Ron was the coach.
He was a big part about it, and I do love that Pittsburgh Steelers speech where Cam got hurt. He was having an MVP season, and we were like, "Oh shit, Ron Rivera does fucking get mad as fuck in the background." Remember, I was so mad. This was before you guys were on the show, but like with Joe, when Joe and I were doing it, and I wanted a coach who was. What I didn't like about Ron Rivera turned out to be his greatest asset. Is like he didn't, and I think I matured as a man watching this. Is I wanted him grabbing players. We were getting beat, and he wasn't mad all the time. But it turns out he was mad in the background. All right, final call of the night. Let's go to C-Dog.
Real quick, everybody, it's me, C-Dog 1983 TV. Whenever you come in here, can you please
sit down?
Please subscribe to the great content. The C3 Podcast is the longest running Panthers podcast on YouTube. They go live every Tuesday. They got a free for all every Friday. We got the Madden simulations on Saturday. They got a game recap on Sunday. But I'm really not gonna say much, man. I'm just excited for about this team. Well, I'm excited about everything except Bryce Young. Bryce Young is on the clock. I already said it before. But besides that, man, we got a good team, man. You know, if everybody come in and stay healthy, that's another important thing. If everybody stays healthy, man, this defense is going to be scary. You know, and we had one of the best corners duos last season without a pass rush. So we're adding Jason Phillips. That's going to be a game changer and everything. But if Bryce Young could just come out here and just play compliment football, at the beginning of the season, to start the year off, we'll be just fine. Just don't lose us games, And the most interesting thing I'm ready to see is the play calling, since Dave Canales is not calling the plays now. And how we use all these running backs, because we got plenty of running backs, and really they should only use AJ on the short yards or the goal line, in my opinion. But we'll see. We'll see if XL steps up, or is this just XL last year in Charlotte. Let me see. But, that's about it, man. XL, Bryce Young on the hot seat, man. Then I'll be talking about the offensive line to go ahead and start the rookie day one. And then Walker could be Taylor Moton replacement at right tackle, because you never know how Icky going to be whenever he come back. I think Icky might be done in Charlotte as well with that knee injury.
Yeah, I think so too.
Dan Morgan been killing it, man. The draft, free agency, undrafted free agents. That guy we got from SMU, I like this tape. I like the guy tape we got from the DB we got from Texas. I'm just very, very excited, man. But I hope everybody have a good rest of the week. Whenever you come in here, can you please hit the like button? Please subscribe to the great content. This is the C3 Podcast, and they do.
All right, let me ask you this.
Dog.
I know, Brandon Ambassador. Quick hits. Feel better or worse about the Panthers going into this season than last season? Yeah, better or worse?
Better.
I think last season we were depending a lot on some unprovens at the edge position and some young guys in terms of draft picks. And we're still hoping for a lot from those draft picks, Princely and Nick Scordon. But I think the addition of Jalen Phillips and knowing that you have an arsenal and a real rotation of interior defenders on our defensive line between Derek Brown, now the new guy, Lee Hunter, Bobby Brown, Tershawn Wharton coming back. I just think that we have a much better opportunity to have a much more fast, efficient, aggressive front seven this year. And that's something that I couldn't really say last year. I do think that maybe the offensive line depth, maybe you could say, was a little bit better last year, considering we had, Cade Mays, Austin Corbett.
Now we got a
Brady
top center that you want to start. We got Luke Fortner. I feel great about that.
I don't love Fortner. He is not proven to me.
He was good.
Yeah, but last year we had Icky, we had Damian Lewis, we had Austin Corbett, we had Cade Mays, we had Brady Christensen, we had Robert Hunt, we had Yash Nyman, we had all of them. That's what I'm saying.
We have Walker, we have Monroe Freeland, we got depth there. We've got Moton.
Who's our backup center?
Who's our backup left guard? Who's our backup right guard?
And the new kid that everybody wants that Cody wants to start. I think this is, and I think this we'll save this debate for another show. Is I almost think that while Robert Hunt is the toast of town for everybody, I think Damian Lewis has been a better player for the Carolina Panthers than Robert Hunt.
Well,
that's
reasonable.
That's not crazy at all, Tony.
I don't think we are any less at depth than we were last. You said depth. I think our depth is just as good, if not better.
I think we are just as good, if not better, with our starters at just about every position. I just do not feel like the depth at certain places is better this year than it was last year.
I think it is with the addition of Freeland and Walker. All right. Better or worse? Quick hit. Do you feel better or worse going into the season about the coaching staff?
Worse.
Good.
Dude, I feel like I'm with CK. Call me a pessimist. I don't love Canales giving up play calling, and I understand why he did it. And he said, the mouth service that he gave in an interview was he wanted to be able to be more hands-on for Bryce Young.
I don't think he wanted to do it.
You're doing that. But even more than if it came from above him, from David Tepper or Dan Morgan, I like it even less, because it says that someone above him doesn't have confidence in him to be the play caller for the Carolina Panthers. And that's literally, say what you want about it, that is literally the reason that you hire an offensive-minded head coach to pair with your young quarterback on a rookie deal. That's why you did it, and we've already aborted that plan.
My argument for that, I'll answer my question real quick on that front. The reason I don't think it's a positive, or it's not necessarily a positive, is I don't think that it's good for Bryce that we're going to have a fourth play caller in his ear in his fourth year as an NFL quarterback. That seems problematic to me. Even though they may have the same offense, having, a different way of running. Now, I'm hoping that it doesn't turn out this way, but
I think it will be more dedicated, though. I think that the offensive coordinator could be more dedicated to being in that room instead of saying, all right, now I got to go take care of all this other shit.
I get the reason for it. Like, it's not really what I'm not stating that there's not a possible upside to it. I don't get the feeling that Brad Idzik is going to be some savant that's going to unlock Bryce Young or this offense more than it was last year. I don't really know what to expect. You're muted, Tony, if you were talking. I don't hear you. So you had one more quick hitter, so we'll wait for him to come back in. But did you have anything you wanted to add to that, Cody?
Also, I'm not really, I've been a big time critic of Ejiro Rivero. I'm not 100% sold on this defense, on the defensive play calling either. I think that every year we go above and beyond to give Rivero a bunch of different pieces on this defense. And if we have another season where we're near the bottom of the NFL in sacks, that's to me, it's like another wasted year that you ran it back with the same play caller. And how about this, okay? Are we still waiting to be sold on the idea that a 3-4 defense is the best defense for the Carolina Panthers? Like, I feel like we're in year 4 of it, and we still don't really love this defensive structure that we have.
The final question was this: is better or worse on Bryce Young?
Better.
Yeah, I think so.
I would also say better.
If we look at his QBR and his stats as a whole, they've only gone up each year. And I think ending it the way that it did last year, where that confidence level is going to be probably through the roof, having that game, that wild card game here in Bank of America Stadium, I just have a hard time thinking that doesn't bleed into this year.
And I want to nuance this with what I mean by better or worse is going into the 25 season and going into the 26 season.
We were all really hopeful about what he was going into last year.
But I think that was on a small sample set, CK.
Very small sample set.
We were riding a wave of despair. Yeah. And we were looking for anything and everything that could point towards better to come. I think that what happened in 2025 gives us far more reason to believe this year is better than 2024, those last games. So 100%. I think it's just rooted in more security of my belief. Cody, let's finish out the show here. What do we got left? Those are the calls.
Hey,
get
man, just
through it.
some real quick hitters. We mentioned this at the start of the show. 4 Panthers suddenly cast as sidekicks after Dan Morgan's draft. By the way, shout out to Dean Jones from catgrave.com. Cam Jackson. Dude, how about this? We forgot all about Cam Jackson. I think that probably says a lot about his future. No more Ashawn Robinson. We bring in Lee Hunter. Dude, this, training camp, it's going to be a big time season for Cam Jackson to prove that he has any meaningful role on this football
Tell me
team.
about him. I don't even know who we're talking about.
He was our 6th round pick last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, buddy. So John Mechie. So the Panthers are looking to rekindle the college connection between Bryce Young and John Mechie. It's not been the easiest start to the wide receiver's NFL journey, but he's eager to make up for lost time with someone who trusts completely under center. There are no guarantees. Mechie is getting a shot, but that's it. He'll still need to prove himself over the summer, and Chris Brazel's arrival in the receiver room is likely to push everyone aside from Teterboro McMillan and Jalen Coker lower down the pecking order.
I think this is Mechie or Jimmy Horn Jr.
I agree. To me, this is more.
Other names don't matter in this. It's Jimmy Horn Jr. and Mechie, and I'm rooting for both of these guys. But the Mechie story with him, with the
connection with Bryce and everything, yeah,
and the cancer, like the comeback is. I mean, you say you're looking for that, but I don't think that putting him in the same conversation, like he's not fighting for those spots. He's fighting for a Jimmy Horn spot.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, moving on. Oh, wrong way. Nick Scott, the safety who has been the start of 1,000 memes on Twitter.
A punching bag for Panther fans.
Yes.
Low hanging fruit. Unfair, I think.
A much maligned figure. The veteran safety recovered from a rough start last season to perform much better over the second half of 2025. This was enough for another one-year deal, but he knew more competition was coming. With the signing of Zaki Wheatley to this room, he has a questionable future on this team.
Yeah,
I'm just hoping that Zaki Wheatley can overturn him
or ransom. Come on! Like, at what point do we move on? Good to have him on the.
Although Ransom was a rookie last year,
right? That's what I'm saying. That it's time. Where do you grow and move?
100%, 100%. The final one, and so So I'll just say it like this.
This
so
is
they
a
mentioned
sleeper right here.
Right. They mentioned the arrival of Will Lee. I'm happy with either of these guys being the one that they run with. People forget that Corey Thornton last year was a really good corner for the Panthers. He's tall, long arms, good in coverage. He had that one play in the preseason where he body slammed the Cleveland Browns player. And I just think that he has the potential to be a really good player. And I wouldn't mind if it's him or Will Lee in that position.
Yeah, I think this just tells us don't get too caught up in draft hype. Just because you drafted Will Lee and I hope Willie, that's what I call him.
Willie.
Is great. It's gonna be good, but Thornton is fighting for position. It doesn't mean that it's either or. These are young players, and we're trying to see who the young player that survives and thrives and makes it in the NFL.
Yeah, buddy. All right, boys. The final slide of the evening for the C3 Panthers podcast. And I'm going to go ahead and call my shot and point to the rafters. I think this next slide is just going to be us agreeing with each other pretty much until we're done talking about it. Who are the top 4 players on the Panthers Mount Rushmore? Tony, you sent this in our group chat. I do not know who made this image, this beautifully rendered AI image, but they have Cam Newton, Steve Smith, Luke Kuechly, and Julius Peppers. My question to either of you and to anyone in the chat, Is there any other Panthers player who deserves to be on this Mount Rushmore more than the 4 gentlemen on the screen in front of you?
I don't think so.
Not from impact. Yeah, those are the most impactful Mount Rushmore players.
Right.
I would argue,
like, who would even be a 5th? Right,
Jordan Gross,
John Casey.
John Casey. It would be.
There's one player, but the
JJ
reason why I
Canton.
don't put him up there is because it wasn't for his level of play, even though he was a great player. It's Sam Mills. Sam Mills gave us the keep pounding motto.
But he was really like a saint. Like, he could
Yeah,
be on the Saints Rushmore.
I agree. Most of his best years as an NFL player was with the New Orleans Saints. So that's why, if we're just talking about meaningful contributors and players on the Carolina Panthers,
This
you
is my
cannot
Rushmore.
go wrong with, I think, the 2 men who set the tone of energy that the Panthers had for the past decade, and Cam Newton and Steve Smith, and literally 2 gold jacket Hall of Famers in
And
the
the best
form of
ones.
Julius Peppers and Luke Kuechly.
Yeah,
Can't go wrong with it, man.
This is the Mount Rushmore. The mini Mount Rushmore would be Jake Delhomme, Musa Muhammad, Jordan Gross, and Greg Olson.
I don't hate
I think
that.
I would put I think we put gosh. And this is crazy is Jonathan
McGinnis.
Stewart.
Yeah, Jason.
There's a lot of
and
lifers.
what's his name? What was the guy that I hated that loved when he came out of college? The other running back. He was incredible.
D'Angelo Williams?
Yeah, D'Angelo. Like these were high impact players.
Thomas
there's a couple of-
Davis. Shout
Thomas
out to
Davis,
our girl KB.
John
That's such a hard
Beeson, short-lived career, Musim Muhammad, but that
Deshaun Foster.
second level just doesn't touch this level.
Yeah,
Not even.
You know, I mean, it's like this is the 4. I'm
these
sorry,
are the
like,
most
it's like an
impactful players in Panthers history. Like everything else, like there are players that that maybe had a longer impact on the player on the Panthers.
You could say
as
Christian
a whole.
McCaffrey. Think about that.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey could be an argument for one of the great running backs.
I don't think so.
but not. For
I
the
don't think so.
Dynamic of the team.
Yeah, I mean, more so now as a 49er than, I mean, listen, he did have that 1,000 season as a Panther. Cannot take that away from him, but technically Jonathan Stewart has more rushing yards and touchdowns
Chris
than
Jenkins,
Christian McCaffrey.
I mean, there's a lot of very, very
Josh
good-
Norman, that's a
These
fan
are the
favorite.
icons. They're the ones you build teams around, and it was awesome that Cam and Luke were on the same team. And Julius Peppers is arguably like the greatest defensive end in the history. Like
It speaks volumes that the 2 legitimate Carolina Panthers that are Hall of Famers, and when I say legitimate, I mean started their careers here, had the majority of their snaps here as Panthers, if not all of them, are Hall of Fame, not just Hall of Fame, eligible or nominations, but actual Luke and Julius now being in the Hall of Fame. Steve Smith, not, he'll be shortly, hopefully here soon. And Cam Newton, I imagine he's going to be, if Phillip Rivers got a nomination, I don't see why Cam Newton wouldn't be in the running for a potential move into that Hall of Fame as well.
I think
May not
we
be
talked
either
about
one.
it. I think
controversial Mount Rushmore.
I think we've talked about this before. Dude, as much as I hate it, Cam Newton is my favorite Panthers player ever. I don't think those guys get a gold jacket. I think that Steve is absolutely deserving, but I think that if he was going to get one, he would have had it already.
I know. I think he's going to be a victim of circumstance. I think the other thing that's cool about this Mount Rushmore, all were drafted by the Panthers.
Yeah.
True. Yeah,
this is inarguably, I don't think there's anybody. This is the least controversial discussion of the podcast. All right.
Told you we're all gonna agree with one another, man.
All right.
That's it. That's the end of our show, man.
You're listening to the longest running Panthers podcast. It's the C3 Panthers podcast. We're on Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. We got the Friday free for all. Listen to C Dog. We'll be here throughout the season, breaking news, doing post games, all of that. We thank you so much for your time, attention, and energy. Smash the thumbs up button, subscribe, be a part of our just the family right here. Is what we're doing. Is we're not football experts, we're expert football fans, and you are an expert football fan if you're listening this long into the podcast. Now it's time to round out the longest running Panthers podcast with the longest running segment on this podcast. Find another podcast in Panther Nation that's got a segment going as long as our Ice Up picks. Let's ice some fools up.
Ice up.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
It's our homage to Steve Smith, where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up, to get it together. We can step in or outside the bounds of football here. Usually we like to, I'm glad Cody's back because like, I love when he's like, Tony likes to watch people almost die on the internet. I love that. That one makes my night good. Guys, I got some basic ice up picks tonight. When are you ready? Where do you want to go with this, Cody? You tell me.
I mean, yeah, I have a short one. I can go first, or you want me to go after you? I can go after you.
Here, I'll do one, and then you do yours. All right, and then we'll go to CK, and I'll final up. Got to pull you down. Pull down this.
I got you.
Put me up. This just made me laugh. I don't believe it. I don't believe anything on the internet. Let me see. Is
it says Lewis?
Well, Lewis is scratched out, and Eduardo is now her man. But the comments are great in this. Is Eduardo, you got a real one. The idea that you would first probably shouldn't get names tattooed. I don't think this is real. I don't really. There's no way,
dude. People are so stupid enough to do some shit like this. I do.
If you're the fifth person on this list, though, there's gonna be a Anthony, and
it's gonna look like the quarterback for quarterbacks for the Browns.
Yes,
just a list of names scratched off on her face.
Her dating profiles are gonna be like only dating Eduardo's.
Yeah, I don't know. Only dating no more Lewis's. Who do I ice up? Do I ice up Eduardo, Lewis, or her? I don't know, but ice up to that.
Maybe all three. So 2 years ago, at the Churchill Downs, this happened. And boys, just a reminder, when you see something you like and you think that there's no one around looking at you, just remember there's CCTVs everywhere. I mean, you see Shawty is caked up, right? And here comes this cop. He stops, pretends like he's just looking around, but he had to get a look at them buns, hon.
Oh, Lord.
He had to, and I kind of respect him, because it's like that warrants a second, third, and fourth look. But dude, you just got to be careful, man. Now he's literally the butt of jokes.
That's high and tight right there.
Oh, dude, that's perfect.
I don't know where we're icing up.
Just a cop who thinks that he was in the clear to check out some cheeks, and he was not.
Just doing a civil servant at work.
That's right. God bless him.
And CK, what is your ice up for tonight?
So I want to preface this by, I know there's a lot of conspiracy theories around the attempted assassination that had took place at the White House Correspondents' Dinner with Cole Allen. But so essentially, for you guys have to understand some context. Okay. By the way, the real AP, the gala costumes absolutely deserve. Like at this point in time, I'm like, what is happening to our world? Which is like ridiculous, the most ridiculous. Anyway, but so Cole Allen was apprehended. When he created his manifesto, he stated that he intended his expectation was that he was not going to live to see another day, which indicated that he is, quote unquote, suicidal. Why would you do something like this if your intention wasn't to die? And just do as much damage on your way out, right? So they had him in their 5-point harness or what have you, and essentially on suicide watch while he's in custody. We have a magistrate judge who is apologizing to him, saying that, I'm sorry that we're doing this to you. I don't recall us doing this to any January 6thers. So that's why this is like, I don't know if you guys have read the specific wording on it. I was going to pull it up, but it's just, it's such a ridiculous statement to make to a dude who literally tried to kill government officials. Like, no matter what your beliefs are about January 6th, nobody was shooting at political. Like, there's no manifesto that you're going to find that says, I plan to go into the Capitol and die to kill Nancy Pelosi. Like, that's not what they did. Right. And so the argument that this judge is making is that we somehow should have treated Cole Allen, who took a shotgun and intended to kill people, into primarily the administration, the people who run the government, and he had written down that he intended to die in that process, that he should somehow be treated better than people who rioted. Again, everybody has their opinion on that. We're not here to argue the January 6th are right or wrong, or whether there was an FBI situation or not, right? But this was pretty clearly like a reasonable thing for him to do that, and to have a judge turn to him after what he is allegedly doing or had done and apologize to him is unbelievable, and just illustrates to me that our culture and our country is a fallen society, and it's going further into the heaps at this point. So I'm icing up that judge, and the fact that it just, people cannot see this and think, the fact that people don't read this and their first thought is like, that's kind of freaking ridiculous.
You don't have to like anyone. You don't have to like anyone. You don't have to like the president. The fact that we've gotten to a day and age where we're like, oh yeah, if you don't like them bad enough, they just need to fucking die. Like, how about you are the reason why society is crumbling?
Verification bias.
Yeah, man. It's not good. Win with your ideas, not with bullets and other dumb shit.
All right, here is my ice up for the night. I saw this post. It says, Sam here, tree, coffee emoji, proud free bleeder. Free bleeding means embracing your period exactly as it is. No pads, tampons, or cups. Just letting it flow naturally into your clothes. It's liberating. Zero waste, and reconnects me with my body. Who's with me?
There's no way that's a real photo.
I don't think it is. I don't think it's real.
There's no way.
The comments again, just jump in this comment section.
Bloody hell.
It's insane. My favorite, or a lot of people went to, I'm a free pooper. That was their thing. I don't like, this is like the part of the internet that's like gotten so ridiculous, is it's all fake. Like it can't be real. And if it's real, Tony, that's then I'm
that is a real movement. And years ago there was a lady at my work who actually was a part of this movement, and it was
nasty bitch,
unbearable.
I don't even know what to say other than ice up. That's it.
No, me and Real AP have the same thought. Just nasty bitch. Anyway, disgusting.
Right. That's the C3 Panthers podcast.
Yes, it
is.
Next
Tuesday night. Cody Lack, take us out of here.
C3 Legion, we love y'all. Until next time, keep pounding, baby. What's up?